matchup that I haven't seen too much in tournament play. This might actually be the first time ever in a tournament we see these two comps go head-to-head. I definitely give the experience to Tempo Storm on those specializations. I have not seen Wallabear on a Warrior too much or Rosita on a Balance Druid, so let's see how they fare out head-to-head.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Tempo Storm opens up. Peekaboo, of course, on that rogue, and have the option to go in for those saps if he doesn't get knocked out early on. But yeah, that's what Zari was talking about. Sort of the theme of this tournament might end up being that Restoration Shaman Moonkin, as it is so strong in the current meta. Jamili has been practicing this Moonkin a lot, and we'll have to see. It looks like they're opening up onto Wallabear right away. Red Pip can be caught into that sap, into a full blind. Kidney shot over onto Rosita. They're swapping hard over onto Rosita. Barskin has to be used immediately to defuse some of that damage, but that should be enough to keep him alive.
I mean, most importantly, Rosita had to use his trinket, so if they can catch him in a smoke bomb and a stun lock, he won't be able to shift into bear form. So definitely look out for Rosita as the major kill target. Right now, though, Jamili, Peekaboo are going to be on defense. Jamili kiting Wallabear away, but getting double feared, walking him to Gorecki. Now Wallabear can freely swap around if he chooses to. He leaps away to avoid the Cyclone. Peekaboo now moving back with his team. Of course, the Rogue and the Boomkin are going to focus on burst and crowd control, so they're going to be running away, moving in with crowd control and trying to burst somebody down, whereas Wallabear and Rosita are going to be focusing on keeping their pressure high. They need to stay in their opponent's face.
Yeah, Rosita Jones, like you said, does not have that trinket or Barskin, so he is a target. Needs to be very careful that he does not get caught in a caster form, or he could free shift into bear. That would be even better. He's now caught into a full Cyclone. As Peekaboo's taking a little bit of damage, so nice clones coming out from Jamili, playing a little bit defensive right now with that crowd control. Rugcub caught into a kidney shot. He's trying to connect some damage over onto him, but it doesn't look like Jamili can really connect right now, so Tempo Storm not able to really fully capitalize on that swap. Full root beam going to be over onto Rugcub now. This could be it onto Rosita Jones. Barskin might be able to keep him alive. Bear form as well. He's going to be exceptionally tanky, especially with that Earthern Shield, so he should be completely fine.
I feel like Jamili and Peekaboo wasted too much time on that setup. They got the major cooldowns from Rosita, then they tried to swap to Rubcub, and then by the time they went back to Rosita, he had Barskin available to survive that quite easily. So I really feel like Gorecki and Jamili, if they're swapping around too much, Panda's Global's cooldowns are going to reset too often. It's going to be difficult for them to actually find a kill. Walla just going at Peekaboo, 1v1 behind the pillar. Gorecki very far away from Peekaboo. He may need to be careful, down to half HP. Trying to move out of line of sight, but huge damage connects there from Rosita. Trying to follow it up, but Peekaboo peeling them away with some cheap shots, moves over to kidney shot Rubcub. Can Jamili move in and follow that up with any crowd control? You would usually expect a kidney shot into a root solar beam or something of the like. Definitely that crowd control chain going to be critical, but Peekaboo constantly under fire. Yeah,
out of everyone in this matchup, I expect Peekaboo to be the one that to be most trouble in this game. Moonkins, Shamans, Warriors, all very tanky. You can see Peekaboo taking a lot of damage throughout this game. Gorecki now caught into a full fear. Full kidney shot over onto Wallabear. The Wallabear could go down. Another cheap shot. Dive, but the sword comes out. Rallying cry as well. He's going to survive at 10% HP. Rubcub still caught into the beam. Wallabear not out of the woods yet. He needs to get away. Heroic leaps away back over to his healer. Rubcub able to connect those healing waves. Going to be able to chop him off very quickly, but that was a very close call onto Wallabear. Now he really doesn't have any defensive cooldowns left.
Yeah, that swap paid out. They swap to Rosita. He Barskins, jumps into bear, tries to get out of line of sight, but actually gets cycloned. Nice cyclone by Jamili, denies a bit of the burst pressure from Rosita's incarnation. Actually, he decided to trinket that to try and find a kill on Peekaboo. Full moon being lined up, did get interrupted by Gorecki. Nice wind shear there. Peekaboo immediately going back to Walla. He's going to kidney shot him. Unfortunately, using that stun to peel means that you're not going to have that to swap to him and kill him later. Full moon connecting, Jamili pre-bearing that, reducing some of the pressure. Peekaboo now moving out. Once again, Jamili and Peekaboo going to be focusing on retreating away, then moving in for burst attempts. And it's going to be up to Walla and Rosita to find moments to push through and keep their pressure high. But right now, since they used major defensive cooldowns, if they make a push, it's going to be risky.
Yeah, a little swap over onto Peekaboo. He's down to around 60% HP. Kidney shot over onto Rubcub, though. Jamili and Peekaboo trying to make a play over onto him. He does have every single defensive cooldown, but looks like he's not even going to have to use any of them. So not the best swap coming up from Tempo Storm, but I can see they're just trying to make a play somewhere. Everyone's so tanky now. Rosita Jones taking a lot of damage under fire. Cheap shot over onto him. Will Rubcub be able to top him off? He has Peekaboo on his back. So Peekaboo just dancing all over the place, connecting damage onto Rosita, connecting damage over onto Rubcub, just making it really difficult for Rubcub and switching on that Earth Shield, which is really, really intelligent. Finally, Rubcub connecting that Earth Shield onto himself. And now I expect Tempo Storm to go back over onto Rosita Jones.
Yeah, Peekaboo swapping all over the place, forcing Panda Global on the back foot. Rosita trying to force Peekaboo out with a full moon attempt, but Peekaboo's line of sighting it back and forth on the pillar. So Rosita's going to have to find a better position away from the pillar if he wants to get that full moon. Jamili going for his. Wallabear shuts that down with the pummel. Jamili tries to go for a clone. He gets wind sheared. Now with pummel and wind shear out of the way, Jamili could potentially set up some big bursts. Nice pre-bear form on the full moon of Rosita. Basically negates all the pressure. Rosita moving in. Let's see if they can get anything done here. Peekaboo down to half, no evasion, so Walla could definitely tear into him, but they're setting up the burst. Solar Beam over onto Rubcub. Rosita using Renewal and Barkskin, so both of Rosita's major defensive cooldowns used for that Solar Beam trade, which means the next full blind could be dangerous.
Yeah, Rosita will have Trinket for that. That's his only saving grace. Full blind over onto Rubcub. This is what you're talking about. Rosita Jones really doesn't have anything left. He needs to be camping that bear form. Earth Shield's connected onto him as well, so he should be fine.
They went too soon. I feel like they could have just waited a second, then gone for that burst setup with a stun, because Rosita pre-shifted all of the damage and avoided it basically completely. So I'm not sure. Tempo Storm threw away a really big opportunity to find a kill, and I feel like moving deeper into dampening, that the Warriors' constant pressure is going to outweigh the burst of the Rogue. Yeah,
I think you could be right on that. We are into dampening now. 2%. If you look at healer mana, it's relatively even right now at around 55–60%. So no healer having a particular advantage at this point. Gorecki having to play a little bit of catch-up right now while there rushes over to Gorecki, trying to pressure him as well. So both teams just bouncing around. Earth Shield was changed in the last patch, so it's now a 6-second cooldown from a 5, making it a little bit more difficult for a Shaman to actually switch that around and heal up his team.
One thing I'm noticing from Rosita is that he's using his Solar Beams on Jamili quite often to interrupt him on Cyclones or Bursts, as opposed to the healer. So that's going to shut down their pressure and allow them to extend the match, but it will be difficult for them to find a kill unless Rosita uses those Solar Beams on Gorecki.
Almost getting soloed there. Might have to use that Cloak of Shadows. He retreats over to Gorecki. Rosita Jones smoking him as he's being a little bit too aggressive. Luckily, Rosita Jones was able to punish. Now Wallabear actually getting swapped to. He gets out of that though. Dive of the Sword. That was the smoke bomb coming in from Tempo Storm as well, so they're not going to have that offensive cooldown. Good job by Wallabear, realizing he might be in a little bit of trouble and sort of preemptively using that Dive of the Sword.
Jamili has Incarn coming up soon. Peekaboo has Shadow Blades coming up soon. Those two cooldowns are going to pair well together to find a kill on Wallabear. We definitely want to be paying attention to where he's positioned right now. He's sort of overextending if Peekaboo can catch him off guard. Unfortunately, he had to use the Smoke Bomb in the last attempt, so they're going to rely on a Solar Beam on Rubcub. Double Fear, though, landed. Walla really setting up for the kill. Not charging back to Peekaboo, surprised. I guess he used the Vanish there to avoid it. He does end up getting Storm Bolted, trying to burst Peekaboo down. Gorecki already had Earth Shield on him. He's going to jump out of line of sight with Feint. He should be all right behind the pillar here. Rosita still positioned back defensively. I'd really like to see Rosita move in. He has his defensive cooldowns. I feel like we're getting to the point in dampening where their damage is going to become insurmountable.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Peekaboo still just not getting topped off. Gorecki really having a hard time connecting those heals. Peekaboo actually line of sighting him a little bit here, so going to have to make sure they're communicating on that. Peekaboo needs to try to avoid some damage from Rosita, but he doesn't want to be LOSing all those heals. Rubcub now caught into a full hex. Cheap shot over on Rosita, uses that Barkskin, so another cooldown going to be forced by Panda from Tempo Storm. Peekaboo, though, still not topped off. Wallabear trying to connect over onto him. Nice Cyclone over onto Rosita Jones. Jamili doing a great job slowing down that damage with that crowd control. Full root beam over onto Gorecki. Now Peekaboo's in a lot of trouble. He only has his Vanish, so he can always fall back on that. Cheap shot over onto Rosita, as well as a kidney shot on a Rubcub. Peekaboo's sending up the entire team of Panda Global. They want to get aggressive, but still just not able to accomplish too much.
Tempo Storm committed their aggressive cooldowns. They did the Incarnation Shadow Blades pairing, but they went after Rosita instead of Walla, and Rosita had Barkskin. He jumps into bear form. He's going to be fine. I feel like Jamili and Peekaboo threw away another kill attempt on Walla. They more than definitely had lethal damage. They're going to be swapping to Rubcub, trying to catch him off guard behind the pillar, but with that Orc Relentless, going to be difficult. Rosita in the back line getting crushed by Jamili in the open. He's forced to jump in bear, retreat behind the pillar. Peekaboo's just soloing Rubcub, lands a full kick, blinds him at low HP on his shield wall. Gorecki's purging him down. If they can set up the stun out of that blind, he's going to be in trouble, but a nice peel from Wallabear denied it. A perfectly timed fear prevented Rubcub from going down. Good defense from Walla.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play coming in from Peekaboo. Jamili not able to connect really any damage, but he almost soloed Rubcub like you were saying. Wallabear doing an excellent job there. Now it looks like Panda wants to get really aggressive. Gorecki actually caught into a full storm, but he has that Astral Shift up, so it's going to be preventing a lot of that incoming damage. But another defensive cooldown Force Spear, 22% dampening, so it's going to be even more difficult for these healers to heal through this. Both healers hovering around 20% mana as well, so time is ticking.
Yeah, double Star Surge lobbed out to Jamili. He's going to recover. Mana is actually even. I'm surprised. I would have expected Rubcub to be slightly ahead, so Gorecki's doing a good job to manage through the constant pressure. Wall is still trying to get in there and go after the healer, it seems like, but he's going to have to be careful. He's playing Relentless. If he gets caught into a stun smoke bomb, he will not be able to trinket out, and that's happened twice this game. Now into dampening, he won't have the healing to recover. Looks like Jamili and Peekaboo are trying to swap to Rubcub once again. They bursted him down low in that previous attempt. Jamili has a lot of damage available so long as he can connect. connect, but he's getting pressured away. Rosita and Walla forcing their damage on Jamili. He's not able to stay on top of Rubcub, and if they can force this neutral stance, it will be difficult unless they can find a swap. They cheap shot Rosita, but he pre-bearformed the stuns, has Barkskin available. Should not go down in this attempt. He may go dangerously low. Full Moon actually just destroyed him there. Another Hex landed. They're trying to bait him out of bearform. They trade Spirit Link instead. Rosita not falling for the bait. Panda Global survived the swap, but can they stay alive through this other swap? Peekaboo now switching over and crushes him.
What just happened to
damage.
Rubcub?
Tempo Storm delete Rubcub and take the series 1-0.
Yeah, that was a nice swap coming from Tempo Storm. Rosita Jones almost throwing there. He shifted out of bear form as the full moon was connecting. I think they took full damage because of it. That's how they were able to get a lot of momentum and make that final swap over onto Rubcub.
Yeah,
They're getting his bear form, but it felt like a trap almost, like they were just baiting damage or wasting damage into Rosita Jones, where, like you said, if they committed over onto Wallabear, they might have been able to win. We do have this game almost underway. Going to be Panda Global. This is game number 2. Tempo Storm takes the lead in game number 1. They're ahead 1-0. We'll have to see who is going to win game number 2.
Yeah, of course, Peekaboo gets the option of starting in stealth, so his opponents can't see him as he crosses the map. He's going to be looking for a sap. He finds that onto Rubcub, immediately opening up with a cheap shot on Walla. Rosita jumps out of form to try and assist with this initial crowd control, but he gets caught into a cheap shot out of bear form. He immediately trinkets out due to the cooldown pressure from Tempo Storm. I think that was a smart reaction, trading that for the attempt that Rubcub was blinded. Rosita should be able to survive this easily. Peekaboo's trying to split his pressure off and prevent Rubcub from casting heals, trying to keep Rosita low health so Rubcub feels pressured. Walla fears away the DPS to start this off, and Jamili's actually playing adaptation, so if he gets caught into a stun here, he will not be able to trinket it as well. They still have good pressure on Rosita, down to 10%, trades out Renewal. Rubcub has traded out Astral Shift, and Tempo Storm have a massive lead.
Yeah, absolutely. That was all their offensive cooldowns, though. They managed to get a lot of pressure and momentum, which is good. Now Jamili being swapped to Rosita Jones, trying to turn around this pressure, but Rubcub caught into the full kidney shot. He doesn't really have too much left. Might have to use that Earthen Shield Totem or Spirit Link Totem. Could be forced out here. He gets hexed up. Smoke Bomb as well. Spirit Link Totem finally going to be used by Rubcub, but he gets cloned immediately. Tempo Storm coming out of the gates very aggressive. Rosita Jones now in a bit of trouble. He really doesn't have anything. Going to be using his offensive cooldowns to try to turn around the pressure over onto Jamili, but he's caught into the full kidney shot, so he's not going to be able to take advantage of that whatsoever.
Yeah, but Peekaboo's just trying to bait the Earth Shield onto Rosita and then swaps to Rubcub without it. And if they can take Rubcub out here, he doesn't have many cooldowns to survive. If they can both connect, Jamili's trying to jump over. Rubcub tops off. Jamili uses his Solar Beam defensively to try and deny Rosita. Rosita war stomps the Cyclone to interrupt, looking for a Cyclone of his own. Doesn't manage to find it, unfortunately. Rosita really not getting too much done with his Incarnation right here. He would like to force major cooldowns like Astral Shift or Renewal from Jamili, but he's not getting either. Jamili still getting shut down by Walla. Rosita and Jamili setting up for some moon spells. Jamili pre-shifts the full moon, negates the pressure. Rosita still lobbing out damage. Generally speaking, I don't think it's wise for them to train down the Boomkin at the same time. If he's just camping that bear form, he gets double value. I'd almost like to see Walla either train down Gareki or Peekaboo, while Rosita focuses his pressure on Jamili by himself. That way Jamili isn't inclined to just sit in bear form as much as he is.
Yeah, we've been talking about bear form a lot. Both Moonkins are going to be spec'd into a certain talent, I forget the name of it, but when they go into Moonkin form, or when they go into bear form, it's going to reduce magic damage by, I think, 20%. So not only do they have more health, more armor, but they also take magic damage reduction, so very powerful for surviving these swaps. Rosita Jones in a little bit of trouble. Full blind over onto Rubcub. Rosita has nothing left. He's trying to get away. Renewal actually comes up. He's able to use that, top himself off. Rubcub gets shocked there on his heel, but Rosita Jones should be fine. He has Earth Shield, trying to turn around the pressure with the Root Beam over onto Goreki. Jamili taking a little damage, but in bear form, once again, just kiting around, negating all this incoming damage coming from Rosita.
Yeah, Gareki's mana is doing phenomenal, though, which is not what I was expecting in this matchup. Walla and Rosita need to get way more damage out than they are if they want to play to their win condition of consistent pressure, because basically Peekaboo is almost, I would almost say he's out damaging Walla, which should not be the case in this matchup. Walla's sitting in D stance most of the game, as we can see with those shields moving around. Maybe he's not taking any risks. He could get swapped to in battle and get 100 0'd, but at some point, if Walla doesn't go out of D stance, his damage is going to be 20% lower.
That was Wallabear actually using his War Banner, diffused one of those stuns coming in from Peekaboo, but gets killed off right away by Jamili. Got a little bit of value, but not too much. We'd like to see that saving Rubcub or Rosita Jones, not necessarily saving himself, as Warriors are pretty tanky and still has so many defensive cooldowns available to him. Disarm over onto Peekaboo. Wallabear trying to slow down this damage coming from Tempo Storm. Full kidney shot over onto Rubcub. Cheap shot on Wallabear as well as Rosita Jones, but no damage really connects. Jamili gets shocked there, so nice job by Rubcub slowing down some of that damage. Full Cyclone over onto Rosita Rosita Jones now. Peekaboo once again under fire, going to be using that Cloak of Shadows. Still has Vanish available, so some defensive cooldowns, utility should be able to save his life. And Gorecki, like you said, he hasn't really been using any mana. If you look, Gorecki almost 100% mana at this point in the game. Rubcup down to 60.
I think that's because Walla and Rosita just keep focusing Jamili. He keeps Earthshield on him the whole game. Gorecki doesn't have to waste mana or heal inefficiently. I think Walla and Rosita have to split their damage. They need to hit 2 different targets if they're going to run Gorecki out of mana. Because in this situation, Peekaboo and Jamili switch targets so constantly that Rubcup is constantly has to switch Earthshield. That costs a lot of mana, and that's why he's already almost down to half. So the targeting from Panda Global needs to change if they want to win off of mana, which seems to be their strategy.
Yeah, they should be making swaps over on the Gorecki, rending him up, connecting that Moonkin damage with Warrior. Basically, Wallabear should be able to do whatever he wants in this matchup. Rosita Jones can connect damage when he can. I feel like they're focusing too hard on Jamili, like you said, and they're not able to connect damage.
No!
Rosita Jones getting stunned up. Barkskin has been used as well as Renewal, barely surviving. Rubcup getting full blinded there. I believe that's what started all that damage into onto Rosita Jones. So another nice swap coming in from Temple Storm, almost closing out game number 2, but Rosita Jones barely surviving.
I really want to see Peekaboo set up a nice smoke bomb. He can deny line of sight from his healer, but they're swapping to Rubcup, trying to bait Earthshield off or just outright kill him. They get the Earthen Shield Totem. Rosita making a smart move to move inside of it because they do want to swap back to Rosita very soon, I can imagine. If they have Solar Beam for Rubcup, they could just end this. They're going to Cyclone Rosita low on health. If they can set up a smoke bomb stun out of this and clone on Rubcup, they could easily find a kill on Rosita. They need to make sure they stun him out of Bear Farm. Peekaboo moves in, step, kick, Rubcup. Are they going to set up the pressure? No, Jamili gets Cyclone. Peekaboo has to wait for Jamili to leave crowd control. They're going to stun Rosita. They stun Rubcup. Is Jamili in position to follow it up out of the stun? Doesn't look like he went for the root, but didn't have Solar Beam available, it seems. So the crowd control chain was dropped there by Tempo Storm, which should allow Panda Global to restabilize.
Yeah, but they're having a difficult time. Cyclone over on Rosita Jones, going to make it even harder for Rubcup to connect those heals. Dampening has kicked in. We are 5% dampening right now. Peekaboo down to around 40% HP. Rosita Jones does have Incarnation available, so Panda Global does have that offense when they want to pull the trigger. If they can get crowd control over on the Gorecki, and this could be it. Gorecki into the full root beam. Rosita Jones can be using that Incarnation, but he gets cloned up, slowing down some of the damage. Another Cyclone to see if they can connect any stuns over onto him, really slowing down that damage. Peekaboo now into the Stormbolt. I believe he got that feint off, so he should be okay. Gorecki also is using his Ascendance right now, going to be empowering his heals, and he easily tops off Peekaboo.
Yeah, Wallabear and Rosita, I think they're focusing more on swapping, which is important against the Resto Shaman, is to split your damage up and swap around a lot so that their Earth Shield isn't on the proper target at all times. They spend more mana, burn through their mana bar very quickly, or find a burst opportunity without Earth Shield. Those are going to be the win conditions against the Resto Shaman. But Wallabear has been in defensive stance almost this entire game, and ultimately Rosita now getting counter pressured. Rubcup's crowd control chain, though, has been dropped. Manages to reconnect Earthshield. Barkskin now traded out as well. Rosita trying to get through the interrupts with some Cyclones, not finding any opportunity just yet. Now pulling back defensively. Peekaboo can basically go on to whoever he wants, though. Rosita, Rubcup, and Walla cannot stack up like this. They're going to get triple cheap-shotted and allow Jamili to set up free Cyclones. He's looking for a full moon. Does get pummeled by Walla. Gorecki moving up now as well. I'm wondering if Gorecki's going to start spamming Purge. They go for the smoke bomb attempt. No Barkskin, no Trinket. They need the burst now, but Wallabear peels it away with a Stormbolt into a disarm. So nice peels from Wallabear. They allow Rosita to survive through that deadly smoke bomb. Like it looked like easy, basically. Really well done from Walla. His defense is on point, but at some point he's going to have to do more damage if he wants to be able to kill his opponents.
Yeah, in Jamili's last Incarnation, Wallabear came in clutch with a beautiful War Banner, slowing down that CC onto Rubcup as well as Rosita Jones, keeping him alive and really not allowing Temple Storm to get too much pressure. Kidney shot over onto Rubcup, Temple Storm focusing some damage over onto him, but he still has a lot of defensive cooldowns, still has the Astral Shift as well as the Spearling Totem that should be enough to keep him alive. Wallabear now trying to connect some damage over onto Jamili, forcing him into bear form with that pummel. But yeah, Wallabear just camping that D stance for so much of this game. It's going to be difficult for him to get out that pressure. He just doesn't want to make himself a target. Dampening now at 20%. Gorecki expending a lot more mana at this point in the game, sort of catching up with Rubcup. So that's one good thing for Panda Global. Peekaboo still under fire. Gorecki having a hard time topping off his team. Rosita Jones having to use that Barkskin. He doesn't have Trinket, doesn't have Barkskin, so that's an opportunity. Jamili now caught into the Stormbolt. That was a full route into Solar Beam on a Gorecki, into a Cyclone, but Jamili in bear form with Earth Shield should be okay, but now Gorecki having to use that Spear Link as well, so a lot of defensive cooldowns forced from Temple Storm.
I like this Spirit Link. I feel like in the late game that their entire team is going to be low health and Spirit Link gets no value since it redistributes the health of your team. So Gurecki gets that cooldown out of the way and gets to save mana because his mana is going to be his lifeline for the rest of this matchup. If he wants to keep his team aggressive and on top of RubCub like they need to do with Cross CC, it's going to be important that he has mana moving forward. Jamili's got Incarnation up. He can do a ton of damage. Looks like he's going after Wallabear. RubCub getting interrupted on his heel. Rosita trying to peel, but he gets wintered by Gurecki. Nice interrupt there. If they can deny Rosita's Cyclone a little bit longer, unfortunately they can't. Jamili gets shut out by Rosita. Rosita now looking to set up some moon spells. Peekaboo on the run, but gets bursted down to half. Peekaboo needs to be careful. If he goes too long behind the pillar, Rosita might be able to take him out. RubCub roots him out of line of sight. Peekaboo moves back out, switches to Rosita, stun locks him out of bear form, so this could be a Barkskin or a Trinket. RubCub deciding to spam heal through it instead, expending his mana. Gurecki now getting Solar Beam. Jamili could be in danger. Walla rending up the whole team. Peekaboo down at half, and with Dampening starting to stack up, Gurecki's going to struggle to heal through this constant pressure.
Yeah, as long as Panda Global can play well defensively, free bear form, some of the swaps. Full kidney shot over on a RubCub now. He could be in trouble. He did astral shift that though, so a beautiful play coming in from him. That's what I'm talking about. They need to make these defensive plays. As long as they can last a little bit longer, they should be able to out aggro Temple Storm in the late game like we've been talking about. RubCub going to get kicked up there. That's not something that can happen. Now Rosita Jones in a lot of trouble using his renewal. He still has Barkskin, still has Trinket, so he's not the best target to swap to, but Temple Storm has so much momentum. RubCub getting cheap shot, and he gets smoked, taken down. Late fear coming in from Wallabear, but it's not enough. Maybe I'll leave the cross kill onto Peekaboo, but even if they do, no hope. Moonkin Warrior going up against Wrestler Shaman Moonkin. I feel like that's a losing battle for sure.
So Panda Global, I think their main strategy is to just try and live as long as they can and then win off of dampening, right? That seems to be the focus. Why would Walla just stay in D-stance? Maybe Wallace plays defense, wait for Tempo Storm to move in. Then once they've distilled their opener, then he just goes after Gurecki, puts the gas pedal down, trains down the Shaman. That will allow Rosita to actually get pressure. If Wallabear's attacking Jamili, he's going to be in bear form. That means Rosita's damage is less. Whereas if Rosita's kind of just sporadic, he just swaps over, Star Surges him twice, Jamili will lose half of his health. That's pressure Gurecki has to deal with. So let's see if they can do it. They do decide to open up on a Walla with a sap on RubCub to start this game off. Really not getting too much done opening onto him. Rosita's going to bash Peekaboo, looking for an early kill to him, bursting him down to half, but really not finding anything out of it. Jamili now popping Incarnation. They swap with Smoke Bomb to Rosita, caught in Moonkin form. Triple stuns out from Peekaboo. He trades out the Trinket and Renewal. Great start for Tempo Storm once again.
Yep, absolutely. Forcing a lot of defensive cooldowns from Rosita Jones. Full blind over on a RubCub as well. Rosita's not completely out of it. Kidney shot over on a RubCub now. They're swapping over onto him. This is what they do. Bait the Yard Shield onto Rosita Jones. Now RubCub's a target. He has to use the Astral Shift. So another defensive cooldown forced by Temple Storm. Great job by them in this opener. Really taking advantage of all those offensive cooldowns and early pressure.
Yeah, Rosita has his Incarnation up, but he's getting peeled by Peekaboo. And if Wallabear and Rosita stack up, Peekaboo can just get a double stun for free. So definitely the positioning of Panda Global, I think, needs to change unless they can set up almost like a gimmick kill on Peekaboo, bait him behind a pillar and kill him 100-0. Other than that, I don't see a win condition for the way they're playing.
Yeah, they need to be switching up their targets. Wallabear trying to connect some damage on the Gurecki right now, which I really like. Jamili, unfortunately, sort of babysitting Gurecki, forcing that damage onto Wallabear. Now also connecting some damage onto RubCub. Wallabear gets cheap shot up, kick over onto RubCub. Temple Storm all over the place. I don't even know what they're doing right now. Just slowing down the healing coming in from RubCub.
I like this, though.
Connecting a little damage.
Walla's in battle stance now, so he's going to get 20%, well, plus 20% from where he played last game at least. If Walla can spend more time in battle, his Ren ticks are going to be higher, his spread pressure will be higher. It's very important for him to find those opportunities. He switches back into D stance, seeing that RubCub is stunned. He doesn't want to put any extra pressure on himself. So if Wallabear can keep on top of his stance dancing, I think it's going to get him ahead.
Yeah, Gurecki still just not taking any pressure this game. The positioning of Jamili and Gurecki is making it really difficult for Wallabear to actually connect. But I really feel like he just needs to get aggressive. At some point in this game, Panda Global just says, you know what, this isn't working on Jamili and Peekaboo. Full Stormbolt now on a Gurecki. Some CC over onto him. Jamili getting a little bit low, but once again, Bear Form, Earth Shield. He should be completely fine. Gurecki able to just cast out the heals. There's going to be no interrupts coming in from RubCub or Rosita Jones, unfortunately, and now Temple Storm has their go. Full cheap shot over on a Rosita Jones, another kidney shot into cheap shot into Hex onto RubCub. Rosita Jones able to easily dispel that at Hex though. Full root beam now onto RubCub. Rosita Jones still going to be in a little bit of trouble. He has Earth Shield as well as Barkskin, but more defensive cooldowns forced by Temple Storm.
Yeah, and as long as Tempo Storm keeps getting defensive cooldowns, Panda Global will never feel safe. They need to survive one of those setups with peels from Walla. That way they don't need to trade cooldowns, and they can use those defensive cooldowns to push down Gareki, because same situation is happening. Rosita's just going to outright die with that crowd control burst. Walla tried to peel it away with the Warband and reducing crowd control, but it still wasn't enough. And Tempo Storm just stomp out Panda Global in round number 1, 3-0.
Yeah, Tempo Storm, very impressive performance there. Like we were saying, I feel like as that composition, they just seem like they were a cut above the rest.
And then sort of the survival tactics. But we actually do have Boomkin Rogue. We'll actually see Giants in round number 1. I was not expecting this. However, Boomkin into Holy Priest, not going to be a great matchup for Giants. Let's see how much he can get done.
Yeah, CD playing Holy Priest. One advantage that ASAP Anka has is that Assassination brings a lot of spread pressure, and they have the Mortal Strike, 30% Mortal Strike. That's going to be reducing some of the effectiveness of Prayer Mending as well as Renew. If this game goes along, I expect CD to have the mana advantage. Giants now getting swapped to Snuts actually in a little bit of trouble. He gets Kidney Shot up there. Nesper committing that Vendetta, doing a lot of pressure very early on. So that double melee cleave setup coming in from Method Reborn. A lot of pressure over onto Giants. Stun over onto Metaphors now. Method all over the place. Nesper's in a little bit of trouble. Still has his evasion cooldown left, but Metaphors having to play catch up at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's very important for Method to swap around like they are. They get a lot of pressure off of it. Metaphors can't keep Earthshield on the correct target. Giants has to trade out major defensive cooldowns. Now on the side of the Boomkin and the Rogue, I feel like Sidu on that Holy Priest is going to have the better matchup. He can heal through the damage quite easily with that Prayer of Mending. I'm not sure if Nesper should be on the DPS to peel them away, or if he should train down Sidu, because Sidu's having free reign. Mind Control and Giants, they train down Metaphors. Metaphors is trying to kite. I actually like that Metaphors is positioning in the middle of the map. That way Giants and Nesper can easily support him, but they imprison him. They swap off the Earthshield to Giants. Metaphors trinkets out, realizing that the situation was dire. Now followed up by a stun out from Sidu. If Sidu can swap the Mind Control over, no, he just get Root Solar Beamed. Nice job by Giants, but they get denied by Bean with the double Chaos Nova stun, and ASAP Anka on the back foot start to finish.
Yeah, Method Reborn just going crazy in this opener, riding that initial momentum. Finally, Metaphor is able to top off his team using that Ascendance. Pardon me, forgot what that cooldown was called, but tops his team up with Ascendance. Bean and Snuts now taking a little bit of damage. Just look at mana. It's relatively even. Metaphor's a little bit behind at this point in the game. Vendetta's going to be committed once again over onto Snuts, so he's trying to pressure down Snuts a little bit, but he's in that D-stance. He should be completely fine with Sidu really not pressured whatsoever at this point of the game. Like you were saying, I really feel like Nesper needs to commit some damage over onto Sidu if they want to have a chance in this game, but it just seems like ASAP Anka is forced so defensive in this game so
Giants
far.
has been spell reflected on Cyclone, I think, 3 times by Snuts, and that's just an extra crowd control added onto the chain that they have, and it's going to put their team behind. So Giants going to have to focus up, not get spell reflected by Snuts as often, because it's going to open up win conditions. Metaphor's caught into a stun. Nesper looking like he wants to peel Sidu from moving in. Switches over. Giants is getting soloed by Snuts. He's looking to set up a full moon. Doesn't manage to full moon Sidu, but he faded it. Sidu avoids all the pressure. Now he's just smiting. Sidu having the time of his life. His entire team at full. Giants on the back foot, has Incarnation up, wants to get pressure out, not finding it. He does land the Solar Beam. I think Sidu fake cast the Solar Beam as well, so Sidu's going to have free reign. Nesper's going to try and harass him by going after him. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to shut him down completely by himself, though.
Yeah, Sidu doing a great job with those stuns, that Holy Word Chastise. The more he can cast Smite, the lower cooldown Chastise is going to be, assisting his team in more stuns, more pressure overall. So well done by Sidu so far in the game. Giants getting targeted down. Mind Control over onto Nesper. Interrupt over onto Metaphors. Great CC coming in from Method Reborn at this point in the tournament. Full Kidney Shot over onto Bean. A little bit of pressure coming up from ASAP Anka. Imprisonment going to be used over onto Metaphors as well. So Method Reborn trying to get some pressure over onto Giants. They might have found it. He really doesn't have anything left. He gets interrupted. Needs to be in bear form, but he gets taken down.
I can see what ASAP Anka were going for. They didn't want to lock the Affliction Lock into this setup for defensive reasons, but locking the Boomkin into this comp shuts him out for offensive reasons. You're almost never going to outpressure the Holy Priest. You're not going to outmana the Holy Priest. So from ASAP Anka, what I would have liked to see, if they were expecting Holy Priest, is actually like Rogue Warrior, some melee cleave, and just run Sidu down. That would have been a better option. I don't think they can play their spread pressure compositions into what Method have with this. So moving into game number 2, since they tries to rush for a kill.
They might have to out-aggress them, because as they don't commit a lot offensively, the Holy Priest should be able to heal through that damage like we were saying, but it is going to be Tolvaron Arena. ASAP Anka coming in with their bread and butter, that RLS with the Assassination Rogue of Nesper. Method Reborn once again picking that comfort pick. Sidu on the Holy Priest, Officer Bean on the Demon Hunter, and Snuts on the Arms Warrior. So cleave setup up against this RLS.
Yeah, I think the aggression strategy is a winning strategy, but it's a risky one. You might be a 50-50. But defense, I think they ultimately lose. I don't know if they even can can win if Nesper and Venema only play defense. And we're kind of seeing the same as the last matchup with Panda Global, focusing too much on defense. Nesper's going to start the fight off onto Bean. Obviously, Bean can use the Shadow Sight and see Nesper, so Nesper just wanted to get as much damage as he could, but that many overextended into a mind control, taken out of the game by Sea-Doo for quite some time. They're setting up the big burst. Nice portal from Venema, avoided a bit of damage, but walked him into Metaphors for a double stun, and now they can cleave down both targets. Metaphors is going to gate away. I like the gate away. They need to split up. If Venema and Metaphor stack too much, that allows Bean to attack whoever he wants. They're going to imprison Meta, low HP on the Astral Shift. Nice play from Bean. Venema might need to peel here with some spam fears. Bean's going to split his pressure and force Metaphors to spend a lot of mana healing a target without Earth Shield.
Yeah, full kick over onto Sea-Doo. This is looking decent for ASAP Anka. They were able to survive the initial onslaught. Kitty shot over onto Sea-Doo as well, so Sea-Doo might have to use some defensives here. But Venema not able to connect too much damage over onto Sea-Doo. Luckily, he's rotting down Bean as well as Nuts. So this is the RLS pressure we were talking about. Everyone's sort of rotting down. Sea-Doo able to top himself off, though. Should be able to connect some heals over onto Bean. You can bet that permanent as well as Renew. Yeah, the damage is looking good for ASAP Anka so far, but that was a Vendetta. Venema does not have wall. Metaphors really only has that Spirit Link cooldown left, so Method Reborn can make some sort of offensive play, but Snuts is in a lot of trouble. Kidney shot over onto Sea-Doo. Snuts rotting down. That is going to be the Guardian Spirit preventing death on Snuts as well as Sea-Doo, but Snuts just not getting any heals at this point in the game.
I like the positioning from Metaphors and Venema. Just play out in the open, use your mobility to force Snuts to overextend or Bean to overextend, and then Nesper can follow up when they try to retreat back. So good positioning from ASAP Anka. They're looking a lot cleaner on this setup.
Locked out. Kidney shot over onto Bean. He has to shrink it out. He's in a lot of trouble right now. He needs to try to run away. Sea-Doo falling behind right now. Gets kicked out once again. Some beautiful interrupts coming in from ASAP Anka. Sea-Doo having to play catch up at this point of the game, trying to throw out some flash shields. Paramedic comes out once again, barely keeping Bean and Snuts alive. Method Reborn has to find some offensive play at this point.
Yeah, they're still doing a great job keeping their pressure. Vendetta is going to be available very shortly, so Nesper's pressure will be high as a result. Venema is keeping up good damage on Bean and Snuts throughout the fight. The only thing they're ultimately losing on is in mana, so if they can't put someone to 0, inevitably Sea-Doo will get ahead. Right now, Sea-Doo's team just focusing on defense, playing behind the pillar, trying to overextend Nesper. If they can stun lock him behind the pillar like this, they might be able to 100-0, and Metaphors is trying to reposition. He would not like to use Earthen Shield Totem on the Rogue, so he's trying to hold on to it. Oh, has to use it. Now he's going to mind control him out of it. They meta and swap off the Earthen Shield Totem. Smart move. Metaphors trades out Astral Shift. He's going to jump to his gateway. It's very important that he can use the gateway, but he gets feared away from it. If they can stay on target, Nesper is going to make a swap. Metaphors gates over. I'd almost like to see Metaphors start purging Sea-Doo or crowd control this Ray of Hope. He's not able to get there in time. Venema unloading a lot of unstable afflictions. That's pressuring Snuts in the backline, and this is the strategy that we wanted to see. Nesper training down Sea-Doo, putting him on the back foot while Venema creates split pressure on Snuts. He got died by the sword by himself there. Really well done. And if they can keep up this aggression, that's going to be their win condition.
Yeah, they absolutely have to, but one thing they need to do as well is when they have that pressure, they need to keep chasing. Nesper in a lot of trouble. Evasion. Snuts almost smoking him. Sea-Doo is going to be dispelling some of those UAs. Spirit Link connects as well. Venema needs to run into that to get the kill off immediately by Snuts, so Metaphor's not getting full value there. He gets Chaos Nova now by Bean. Metaphor's in a lot of trouble. He has nothing left defensively, trying to throw out those casts. If he gets interrupted, you can bet that he's going to be gating away, but he's able to get off those casts for now. ASAP Anka losing some of the pressure. Snuts still in a little bit of trouble. Really doesn't have anything left defensively. Sea-Doo has some defensives left for him, so he can keep him alive if he needs to.
It's very important for Nesper to keep pressure high on at least one of these melee so that Metaphors and Venema aren't getting pressured. If they can get on top of Metaphors and Venema, it will be the end of their lives. Venema gates away to split up. I like the split up. Metaphor stays on the other side. That way they don't stack for double stuns or potential interrupts. Then Venema portals after the mobility. Bean will ultimately reconnect. I mean, Demon Hunter, he's always going to be on his target, but they need to make it annoying for Snuts as much as possible. Right now, Bean is training down the rest of Shaman, and Snuts is trying to go after the Warlock, and then whoever doesn't have Earth Shield, I think, is where they're going to swap to and burst down. And Venema already used his mobility. There's no Spirit Link Totem available. Trades out his wall, but it might have been too late. He's trying to get some aggressive UA casts off, but he does not get them. A full fear now lands. He's forced to trade out the Healthstone to fully recover. Now with this recovery, I'd like to see some crowd control on Sea-Doo. Maybe look for fears instead, and then look for burst on a DPS target. A kidney shot into a fear, into a hex, might be long enough to kill Snuts if they can set it up. But Metaphors is running out of mana. He's dipping low on health, and Bean is setting up for the kill.
Yeah, absolutely. Garrote over onto Bean as well. Snuts getting feared up, or Bean's getting feared up. Interrupt over onto Sea-Doo. Venema's trying to do everything he can, but Metaphor's in so much trouble. He gates away. Astral Shift has been used as well. He gets pummeled up, though. Nice job by Snuts, but he has so much damage reduction with that Earthen Shield Totem as well as that Astral Shift, but both of them are going to fade. Blood Elf Silence comes in. Metaphors, how is he alive right now? He's not going to be for much longer, I suspect. If he lives, he is a literal god, still kiting away. Bean and Snuts not able to guide. How is Metaphor Metaphor's still alive. He gets
no.
imprisoned up low. Kidney shot over on the Snuts. The Snuts can connect and execute. Metaphor's still line of sighting. Full Storm Bolt. Can Metaphor squeak? No. He's going to finally go down. It's a close call. That game was looking so much better for ASAP Anka. I really feel like the crucial moment in that game is when they had everyone rotted down really low. Sea-Doo fell behind. They just didn't commit. They need to push in. If Sea-Doo can just sit there and free cast for 5 seconds as a Holy Priest, he's going to top everyone. That's just a fact.
I really think if Nesper was subtlety, they would have a way to win this because they could remove the Holy Ward more actively. They'd have better crowd control. Completely Hume. If he had half mana, that game could have kept going and maybe they set up that burst opportunity later. I would like to see Metaphor's drink if Method do that full retreat and hide behind a pillar. Nesper should not overextend like he did. If Metaphors has to use cooldowns on him, he doesn't have them for Venema or himself, which are much scarier targets.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what ASAP Anka does. Full Hex over on Bean right away. Sea-Doo not going to be able to dispel that on that Holy Priest.
Actually,
Snuts getting cheap shot up CC'd a little bit. Full kick over onto Sea-Doo. It looks like Nesper once again trying to pressure down Sea-Doo the best he can in this game. Sea-Doo's going to be looking for that mind control. I think he actually got kicked there, so just going to throw that stun over onto Nesper, controlling him up.
Yeah, they're trying to gate across the map. Bean chasing after them in hot pursuit, landing an interrupt there. Metaphors puts the Earthen Shield Totem down and gets imprisoned. I really like Bean using Imprison to deny defensive cooldowns. Now into a full fear. Good coordination by Method Reborn. They're going to have a big opportunity. Venomous trying to thwart it away with that Infernal Stun and his wall traded out. Now free casting on Stable Afflictions. Nesper needs to get as much damage as possible. I think Nesper might be playing the Fan and Knives talent, so ASAP Anka's strategy is to stack Sea-Doo's team up as all 3 members, spam out Fan and Knives, and do as much damage as possible. I
think this is what they need to do. They need to try to out-aggress Method Reborn. It's very dangerous. Sea-Doo actually gets interrupted there. Bean rotting down, Snuts rotting down as well. This is looking good for ASAP Anka. Nesper's going to be trinketing out of that imprisonment, landing a full kick over onto Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo really having a hard time healing through the spread pressure, and this is what you need to do against the Holy Priest.
They
you
need to get on top of them.
Interrupt all of those casts, because the Holy Priest eventually does have to cast if you have enough damage. Bean rotting down, Snuts rotting down as well, and this is looking so good for ASAP Anka.
They have an option. They can either just push in right now and try and win, or I think Metaphor should even drink. Like, even if he's close to full, he needs to be completely full the whole game. I mean, he's almost ahead of Sea-Doo if they want to play like this. If they can just push in, and then when Method fully retreat, he drinks, that puts them on a clock. They're going to stun Nesper, though, and swap to him with an Imprison and completely shut them out. That's why Nesper can't overextend at any point in this match, or he's just going to get swapped to and destroyed.
Dude, I really feel like ASAP Anka kind of threw that away. Nesper, they had so much pressure, but trinketing out of that imprisonment was a big mistake. That makes you susceptible to that Demon Hunter Warrior swap. And unfortunately, ASAP Anka is going to be eliminated from the tournament. That game was looking so good for them, though. That's a strategy they really need to implement against the Holy Priest, because like I said, you can overwhelm a Holy Priest with enough damage, as well as that healing reduction.
It's just difficult to force that positioning. So to get the Fanonized damage bonus, you have to hit 3 targets.
And you have to be standing.
You have to dogpile them. You're literally playing a Warlock comp,
good,
and you have to dogpile them.
I mean, it looked good. The Warlock really doesn't have to cast too much.
Smart choice by Method Awakened to play the Boomkin Rogue as opposed to a Warrior Rogue, expecting Brian to play Paladin, so they're not committing all in on that physical pressure.
Yeah, so Method Awakened really taking advantage of the fact that Restoration Shamans and Moonkin are so good. This is the exact same comp we saw Temple Storm play a little bit earlier today. Union, this is their bread and butter setup. This is what they practice the most. We're going to be looking to see huge setups coming in from Seth Curry, so look for that Serenity cooldown. If you look at Seth Curry's cooldowns, the bottom one in the middle, that is when Seth Curry's going to be doing a crazy amount of damage. Sap over onto Brian. Seth Curry going to be opened up onto right away, but he should be fine. Just an in-cap over onto Roast. He's unfortunately gets broken right away by Previ, but Seth Curry just trying to get out some damage. Brian actually getting blinded. He immediately trinkets that into a full root beam. Now Previ in a little bit of trouble, down to 20% already. Barksian, he might just get taken down, and Method Awakened comes out of the gates, firing shots, and that was unbelievable. That crowd control over on Brian. Previ just gets smoked right away.
Yeah, I was not expecting that early of a kill, and I'm not sure if Previ was playing Trinket or not. We'll obviously have a replay, I think, to look back on, but if he wasn't playing Trinket, that's a risky move against these subtlety rogues that swap over, and we do have a replay. Let's look at those final moments. How did Method Awakened set up that perfect kill? Previ is playing Trinket, so what did he use it on? They started on Seth Curry, so Brian was focused on him as he was sitting through this full sap. Obviously, Seth Curry dipped very low, so Brian's attention was put onto him. As soon as that attention was on him, they switched their damage to Previ. They blinded Brian. Brian trinketed. Previ got stunned. He decided to Barkskin at full health. Brian got locked out on a heal, actually caught into the silence, and he didn't want to bubble as well, and Previ just decided to not trinket, got bursted down, and unfortunately...
And I expect game number 2 to not end that way, but Method Awakening just doing such a good job in game number 1.
So it looks like Brian is going to be playing Avenging Crusader. Obviously, if their talents change here in the waiting rooms, obviously the UI will change as well. So we're not 100% no Brian will go off of the Avenging Crusader. I thought that was going to be a mistake. He's going to be difficult for him to get into the fight against a comp like this. And Boomkin Rogue definitely showing its strength when it can swap around and keep the other team on their toes and make mistakes, basically.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can take advantage of those mistakes in this game. Like we said, there's going to be insane damage coming out from Union when they decide to pull the trigger, but Method Awaken seems prepared. They also have insane damage. Subtlety Rogues have a lot of crowd control, a lot of bursts. Smexen played some Moonkin very well. I mean, he isn't ult on it, but he practices it a lot, and Smexen's just known for doing a lot of damage.
Previ tried to get Roasties out of stealth. He dodged the Thrash, landed the sap, switched the sap over, gets open on Previ. Luckily, he did get into bear form. Seth Curry peels away the start, so this is a great way for Previ to negate that early crowd control setup. Seth Curry peeled him well, but they're trying to punish Seth Curry for overextending, and that seems to be the name of the tournament. As these melee DPS, when you overcommit, you get punished hard, and they get Trinket, Touch of Karma out from Seth, so he's not going to have that to survive later on.
Yeah, and Seth Curry doesn't have his port in the best spot either. It's in the middle of the map right now. He's going to have to reposition it. Looks like he wants to do a setup over onto Absurge. He gets full life sweep. This is Serenity, Touch of Death. Absurge could be in a little bit of trouble right now. That's the Blessing of Protection as well. But Absurge gets away, no damage connecting from Previ, and really, they didn't force anything from Absurge.
He's all over the place. He's attacking Brian. He goes after Previ. He gets Brian's Trinket. He switches back, and these constant swaps are really putting Union on the back foot. Brian has committed basically his entire defensive arsenal. He only has Bubble left, which obviously can remove crowd control, but after that, he's going to be running very limited. Seth Curry retreats back. He used his Touch of Karma earlier on. He doesn't want to overextend, so good defensive positioning from Seth Curry as he's hiding behind the pillar. Smexen moving up, Roasties moving up. They're waiting to just pull the trigger. As soon as Roasties starts to stun lock, there's going to be a lot of damage going out. Nice cyclone from Previ, denies the Earthen Shield Totem of Absturge. Seth Curry ports away. I think he wanted to port on top of Absturge. Absturge saw it coming, dodges it with Ghost Wolf, avoids the swap. It's going to be very important for Absturge to be in Ghost Wolf when he gets paralyzed. He was not. He shifted out, and Seth Curry could set up a swap, but Roasty shuts him down. Full blind. Brian, no trinkets. Smexen gets Solar Beam to try and deny some burst. Previ had to use that defensively, so Absturge won't have to worry about it now. They survive, but it seems difficult for Union to get anything going offensively.
Absturge did such a good job there. He poked in line of sight, he got in cap, but he switched Earth Shield at the last moment, doing such a good job defensively. Previ in a little trouble now. Cheap shot over onto him. Barkskin used, maybe too late. Bear form as well. Brian out of that crowd control is going to be throwing those heals over onto him, but it's just so obvious what Union wants to do that Absurge can read them like a book. Now full Hodge over onto Absurge out of that in-cap. Smexen finally taking a little bit of damage here, but he's going to use Barkskin, shrug off that damage easily, and now Union has to play defensive once again.
I really think Previ needs to be cycloning Roasties more and bait him into trinketing, and I think Roasties is ultimately going to be their kill, as Absurge isn't expecting him to be the main focus. Obviously, you want to tech the Boomkin, force him in bear, deny cyclones, deny damage, but then they swap to Roasties with no trinket. They can 100-0 him. The same could be said for Seth Curry, but right now, Method Awakening leading the charge. Of Previ landed a cyclone before the burst, but Absurge contributing the damage maybe to find the kill there with a lightning bolt lava burst. Previ forced to retreat. He gets kicked, the Bob gets purged, and Previ will go down. Nice setup from Method Awakened, and their aggression is insane. Union need to figure out something different here because this is not working.
Yeah, it's not working at all, and unfortunately, as that Windwalker comp, you rely on those setups so much, especially when you're playing with the Paladin. You don't have the same sort of consistent pressure you would with maybe a Shaman, so they need to be looking for those swaps, but it's just so obvious. Like I said, Absurge just reading Seth Curry like a book, pretty much worthless anyways.
Yeah, so I think Union have to start this fight aggressive and make sure that Seth Curry doesn't need to touch up Karma. I think it's going to be the most vital defensive cooldown
what
from
can
their
you do
team.
Though? Like thinking of Union, you get out of the gates, Roasties stealth, Smexen stealth, Absturge, Earthen Shield. What do you attack?
I think you just go through everything. I think you literally just pop every cooldown on Absturge and try and kill him 100-0 through every single cooldown he has.
Yeah, the only problem is they have to commit bombs, because if Roasties can just throw out cheap shots and the crowd control the Subtlety Rogue has, he's going to be able to defuse that opener very easily. But like you said, if they commit literally everything, they might be able to kill Absturge. Yeah. It's risky.
they just need to get cooldowns because they're not getting anything from anyone the way they're starting. And, a bit of a misstart there. They get combat instantly, which means Roasties can't get a sap, so it's already a good start for Union. Previ trying to get through the interrupts and look for Cyclones. Smexen in a defensive position, setting up for a full moon. Roasties ultimately getting cloned in the back line. I would like to see some swaps to Roasties, as he is going to be out in the open and very easy to switch to. Seth Curry's going to roll back. Unfortunately, with that paralyze will be difficult to set up. I'd like to see a Tiger's Lust on the root beam. There's the Tiger's Lust, gets Brian out of that silence. Now Previ pre-bear from the stun, so really good defense from Union. They survive the early aggression without trading too many defensive cooldowns. Seth Curry might need to be careful, though. Smexen committing the Incarnation, immediately rolls back. Union, great job. Avoid the Incarnation, play defense. Then as soon as Smexen's Incarnation is over, move out, push in.
Yeah, they push out a little bit too soon. Smexen, of course, still does have that Incarnation up. Seth Curry's going to get cheap shot up. No CC over on Brian, though, so not quite as much CC coming in this game for Method Awaken. Brian's going to be looking to get semi-aggressive at this point, pushing in. He's able to top off his team quite easily. Earthen Shield Totem is going to be used by Absterge. Full Moon does connect over onto Previ, but doesn't do too much. It seems like Full Moon's one of those spells that either one-shots or does nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Brian wasn't CC'd. I think he was already lining up heals. They move in to swap to Absterge, catching him in that leg sweep, Fists of Fury wombo combo. Do they have the damage to push him over? They get a lot of defensive cooldowns at least. They're still trying to find the kill. They don't find it. They might have overextended. Previ now getting punished. Brian caught into a stun. If they have any follow-up, they get the silence and the root. They need a Tiger's Lust now. They don't get it. They hex him. Previ goes out of Bear to dispel. If he can find a stun, he stuns him out of form. Really well timed. But Brian connects a massive heal. They cut right through it. Brian gets cloned. Previ still on the run. Seth Curry trying to push Smexen away, but really all he's doing is feeding him more instant lunar strikes. Now they swap to Seth Curry, who stayed in too long. He trinkets Touch of Karmas, and suddenly Method Awaken have all the momentum, but they reverse it again. Smexen now low on health. Seth Curry staying in. I think he might be playing the Tiger Eye Brew, as he loses the Fist of Fury stun, but he obviously gets more damage through the high armor of Smexen, so he's going to lose the peeling and the stun potential, but might be able to find a kill with raw damage instead. Yeah,
now Roasties is in the face of Union. He has that Earth Shield, so he should be fine for any swaps that Union decides to pull, but Smexen really doesn't have anything left. He's playing an adaptation, so if they can force that adaptation somehow, I don't think they actually have anything to force it besides maybe Hodge, but that would not be such a good strat, so I like Smexen choosing that. Brian now into the kidney shot. He really doesn't have any breaks. Previ could be in a lot of trouble, down to 50% HP. Seth Curry also getting swapped too, so Smexen just doing damage all over the place. Roasties trinketing, getting away, getting full Cyclone, so great job by Previ. Roasties could have been in a lot of trouble there. He needed a trinket.
Perfect, though. They got Roasties' trinket. Now Roasties needs to be careful, and if he overextends, they could just outright kill Roasties. So
Seth Curry has Serenity too. So he has that Serenity available. They have an opportunity here to win the game. The only thing is Absterge still has Trinket. He still has Spirit Link. Now Seth Curry caught into the full kitty shot. He actually pre-fortifying Brew. That might be the only thing keeping him alive right now. Brian able to connect some heals as well as he gets solar beamed, but he's able to get out of it quite easily. Throw some heals over onto Seth Curry. So well done defensively by Seth, trying to top himself off with the fuses right now, but they still have an opportunity to kill, like you said.
Yeah, if you're Brian, you have to be terrified. Both of your teammates have used some major cooldowns. You need to be focusing on defense, which seems to be what they're doing. Seth Curry's Touch of Karma is now available, but if you don't have Trinket to combo it, get out of crowd control, you can just go down without even being able to activate it. Smexen just harassing from the midfield, doesn't want to overextend. Absterge playing back as well. I'd like to see Absterge maybe drink. That could force them off the pillar. He's just going to pull back. Seth Curry moves in. Roasties is ready to peel him away. They cycle on Seth Curry. Bit of a pre-Earthen Shield Totem there by Absterge. I think he was expecting to paralyze. It might have been maybe the first mistake. They go for the paralyze anyway. I don't think this could be the right move. He gets sapped while running in. Brian didn't keep combat, trying to mount across the map, and that sap could spell trouble as they set up the burst over to Seth Curry. They don't follow up the sap, though. Roasty's got Cyclone. Previ peels it away. Really good Cyclone from Previ. Now Previ and Seth need to find a target. Looks like they want to go after Smexen, but ultimately, I don't think Smexen's going to be a good focus target. The Balance Druids seem to be good swap targets, but if you train them down, they're just too tanky. And Absterge gets swapped too. They're trying to wombo combo him, trades out Astral Shift and Spirit Link, and finally Seth Curry's Serenity pays off.
Yeah, finally. You can see Seth Curry using that spinning crane kick over and over. I'm pretty sure that's a telltale sign he does not have the Fist of Fury stun. He's just trying to build up that Tiger Eye Brew as fast as possible by spending as much chi as possible. Full leg sweep over onto Roasties right now. A lot of damage over on him.
Trinketing.
Fist of Fury as well. A lot of damage. He needs to try to get away. Evasion available as well. He didn't trinket. He didn't evasion. Roasties had everything he needed to survive there. How is he dead right now?
He didn't have evasion right at the start of the stun, but he had Trinket. And I'm really surprised to not see him trinket and try and evacuate that situation.
They had the game in the bag, it felt like. If he just lived that swap, I mean, Union, that was all their pressure, all the momentum. If that fell off, they would have for sure survived. I mean, I think. So, bit of a misplay there. I'm sure we'll see the last few moments in a replay shortly. But
that's kind of the intensity of the caster melee healer. If the melee doesn't react to those swaps in time, then you just get blown up. And then if you're shutting down the caster at the same time, they can't peel for him. So Union just stayed alive, focused on rotating their defenses better at the start of the fight, so they didn't go down early on. it becomes the question. Here we go, Tiger's Peak, so it's more of a neutral map, not going to provide too many overextensions like Tolvaron. I mean, Method Awaken have to be afraid of the same situations. If Roasties goes too deep without his team, he gets bursted down. If Seth Curry goes too deep without his team, he's going to get bursted down. So picking a neutral map kind of eliminates that situation.
Yeah, it does. You're right. Roasties just needs to be very careful that he's not trinketing too aggressively unless he knows he's going to be winning. As we saw in the last game, Union can just make those swaps at any point and take him down. But yeah, Union doing a good job last game. But honestly, I feel like Method Awaken was winning most of that game.
Yeah, for sure.
They had a few moments where they forced like pretty much every single defensive cooldown from Brian, forcing his trinket, his bubble, his wings, a bop. So Union needs to be careful that they're not stacking too many.
Oh, he ported the step while he was in stealth. I don't even think Seth Curry knows he did that, but he avoided the stun while Brian was sapped. Now they have combat. That was a nice read by Seth Curry to just portal as soon as Brian got sapped, and Roasties got ported on his shadow step. So now Seth Curry repositioning. Roasties still in stealth, looking for a target. They're going to open with blind. Instead, they cheap shot Previ out of bear form. He trinkets right away, does not want to go down like game number 1, but then looks for a cyclone. Risky move because Smexon got a lot of free Star Surge pressure. He denies Roasties the follow-up though, so a risk might be worth the payoff. Bear form's full moon. Previ negates the pressure. Brian picks him up. Really decent start for Union. They're trying to set something up on Seth Curry instead. Upsurge, even lava bursting. Very important as the Shaman to put some damage into those stun targets as well. You can sometimes get more cooldowns than you would normally get as a healer if you can put in that damage extra. Yeah,
Seth Curry has sort of an aggressive port right now. It's not on Brian, so when he ports away, he's not going to be able to get too much healing from Brian, but it worked out. Brian got crowd controlled up there. This is not a horrible opener for Union. Previ did use his trinket, which I think is a good trade from that initial pressure coming in from that rogue. Now Previ riding down, Seth Curry riding down. The Upsurge getting swapped too, though. The leg sweep into the Blood Elf Silence. His wall should be enough. That Astral Shift are preventing a huge amount of damage. Seth Curry is going to be caught into the Cyclone, deciding not to offensively trinket, which I like. He saved his trinket, not going to be going down to any swaps. As I say that, he gets cheap shot up, bursted down quite hard. He's going to Flying Serpent kick away. Basically hold hands with Brian behind the pillar and get topped off.
If your Method Awakens, you got Roastie's trinket. That's your win condition. Killing the rogue is your win condition. I'm watching to see if Earthshield is on Roasties, so Earthshield is on Roasties. Smexon needs to be careful and make sure he gets in bear form if they go to him instead. Seth ports back. They're really trying to bait Roasties. Roasties is moving in. Absurge moves with him. It's very important for Absurge to stay close to Roasties because he is going to be vulnerable. Right now, Seth Curry in a clone, though. Brian in a root beam, now into a cheap shot. Smexon switches it into a clone. Previ's still getting trained down. Roasties gets bashed away. Previ now tries to switch over to clone up the DPS and set up a swap onto Absurge. Absurge had to trinket out and trade Earthen Shield Totem, so Absurge no trinket, Roasties no trinket. Very vulnerable situation for Method Awaken, but they're keeping the aggression despite it.
Yep, absolutely, and that wasn't Serenity coming in from Seth. I expect Seth to wait for his next leg sweep, and he'll have an opportunity to take down either Roasties or Absurge. They could make another swap over onto Absurge as well. He doesn't have the Astral Shift. If Brian can land a full Hodge onto Absurge, Seth Curry can connect with the Serenity as well as Tiger Eye Brew. They definitely have an opportunity to kill full blind over onto Brian. Method Awaken wants to get aggressive off to see what they can do. Cheap shot over onto Previ. Previ down to around 70% HP. The CC doesn't end on Brian, but he decides to trinket out, use that wings, popping off Previ immediately. Seth still has an opportunity. Roasty has no trinket. Absurge has no trinket. If they can do this setup just right, they have an opportunity to close out game number 4.
Roasty's trinket's coming up. He knows that. He's trying to run away and re-stealth. If he can stay out of the fight until his trinket's available, he basically can't die in that situation. So Roasty just needs to focus on defense for a couple more seconds. Seth Curry has about 3 seconds to go. They're not going to go. They're not going to pull the trigger. Roasties avoids the setup. Now Roasties can have free reign throughout the fight, and Absurge needs to be the one that's careful for a swap.
Yeah, Method Awaken is reading Union like a book. I mean, it's so obvious what Union has to do to win if they can just avoid those swaps with no trinket. This could be it, though. In cap over onto Absurge. Everything committed by Seth Curry. Full leg sweep over onto Absurge, but Fist of Fury stun not going to connect because he doesn't have it. But the Hodge comes in, so much damage because of that armor penetration coming in from Tiger Eye Brew. Absurge survives, though, to live another day.
Previ got cloned on his trinket right on that setup. Man. If he literally did any Star Surges, he would have gone down. Now Brian might have overextended. Bubbles in time to survive, but a major cooldown forced. And now Smexon looking to cycle on people at low health. Gets Solar Beam out of Previ, so Solar Beam won't be available for Absurge. He's definitely going to be able to survive the next coming setup pretty easily. Smexon's moving in, Roasties is moving in. They want to get aggression moving towards Brian, as he did get Bubble out of the way. He's going to mount up across the fight, trying to escape to safety behind the pillar. Seth retreats, but gets cloned. Seth has no trinket. If they stun him out of the clone, they might be able to burst him down out of the line of sight of Brian. They kidney shot Brian. They move to Seth. They set up the swap. Brian bops the kidney shot to try and save Seth. Abster just purging down, trying to predict a bop onto Seth Curry as well. They managed to survive, but another cooldown out from Brian, and they're slowly working their way through it.
Yeah, Seth Curry did a great job there. He also pre-fortifying through the swap, sort of reading it like a book, seeing what Method Awaken wanted to do and using that defensive cooldown. Previ now getting swapped to a little bit. Full blind over onto Brian. Seth could be in a little trouble. He might have to use that touch of karma, trying to get aggressive over onto Absurge with the leg sweep and Serenity. Absurge realizing the situation, immediately trinketing out, diffusing the damage coming from Union, and now Method Awaken wants to get aggressive. Previ in a lot of trouble. Barkskin used. Brian has nothing left defensively except his wings. He's trying to kite away, buy some time. He needs to try to get away. Seth Curry realizing Rosti trying to harass his healer, coming back, protecting a little bit, forcing Rostis to play semi-defensive at this point in the game.
Yeah, Previ now getting swapped to, and Method Awaken basically switched to whoever gets left behind. Union are trying to stay together as a team, but if they stack up too much, Rosti gets a free triple stun. He's going to open up with a kidney shot on Brian. They swap to him, realizing they've got Bop and Bubble out of the way. He's going to be the most vulnerable target, but Seth Curry punishes Rostis, switching to him in that bash stun, forcing Cloak of Shadows now. So evasion and Cloak of Shadows out of the way. Absurge needs to be careful for Rostis and himself. He doesn't have Earthshield on the right target. Seth Curry's Serenity, which is going to be available very soon. Previ's Incarnation could be deadly. They've got good pressure on Smexen. He's down low at health. Absurge is going to spend a lot of mana to pick him back up, but they're still trying to swap to Brian. Both of these teams are cutthroat towards the end of this match.
Yeah, Brian getting swapped to, though. Blood Elf Silence connecting as well. Bloodstone Protection going to come out the last second. Can he get it off? He managed to land a heal, but it gets purged off. Cheap shot. Brian trying to mount away. Gets rooted, though.
Nice.
And Rostis and Smexen able to take him down. Nice swap coming in from Method Awakened. It will be closing out the series, knocking Union down to the losers bracket in a very impressive performance.
Absurge, his defense and aggression were both really good.
Warrior Death Knight, I think, especially. I think if Frogs in a Pond goes with Moonkin Resto Shaman, I think Warrior Death Knight works reasonably well against that. You can do a split strategy. The Unholy Death Knight, I mean, we've played some games online, and we fought against the Holy Death Knight, and they can sort of tear into that Moonkin.
Right.
Looks like
not
they
at
are
all what I would thought.
They are going to be going with that Turbo Cleave setup with the Holy Priest. So we have Envious on Holy Priest, Hots, JK Purge on the Enhancement Shaman, and Vices on the Arms Warrior.
I think it's good. I think Holy Priest versus the Moonkin Rogue is a very strong answer. It looks like Wealthy Man has gone with Assassination, so Frogs in a Pond might be going for like an all-in, get on top of Baby Rage and clump them up, and for a triple fan of knives. That seemed to be the best strategy we saw from Nesper's team earlier on. If they can accomplish that, I think Envios will have an easy time with this, though.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Wealthy Man on Rogue, not something I've seen too much of. Sap over onto Envious, cheap shot on Devices, kidney shot onto Hots, JK Purge, sort of a standard opener from Rogue, giving that triple CC out, but a Stormbolt over onto Wealthy Man. He almost gets exploded into the Chastise. 1% HP, he goes down. What an unbelievable swap coming in from Baby Rage, just going insane. Envious coming in MVP with that Holy Word Chastise, setting him up.
I think the Frog is raging right now. He's a little bit of salt in the wound from that early kill. We were not expecting that early of a match. Usually these Boomkin teams focusing on defense, but the Boomkin and the Rogue synergize so well to set up, burst, but unfortunately don't synergize well to set up defense with Assassination. They couldn't peel away that Turbo Cleave pressure, stayed on top of them, and bursted them down. But we have a replay, and because that was such a quick match, the replay is actually from the start of the game.
All right, so the gates are about to open, sort of a standard. Like I said, Wealthy Man pushes in. He gets a sort of a standard Rogue opener, stunning everyone up. He has Trinket, but I guess he didn't expect to just die in the opener.
I'm not gonna lie, Richard distracted me on the analyst desk while this was going on, and he got completely destroyed during the burst, and that's the Turbo Cleave pressure.
He trinketed, yeah, so he gets Stormbolt. The Chastise, I don't think he was expecting. Normally, Turbo doesn't have that follow-up stun, so he gets Chastise DR. He trinkets out the last second, but too much damage connected. I think he evasioned at like 1% HP, but...
Fighting Chanimal, entertaining himself with some bear form dance moves. I don't think Wealthy Man is dancing after that loss. He's ready and gunning to go on his unicorn. Let's see what he can get done here. On Dalaran Sewers.
You know what one benefit Baby Rage has as well is when you punish Wealthy Man that hard and explode him with that amount of damage, now Wealthy Man's going to be scared. I'd like to see him not play super scared this game. He just needs to trinket out at an appropriate time, but now they can do a swap over on a Wealthy Man, maybe not commit too much damage, and he might get scared.
Ooh, he sapped the Holy Ward off, nice. And got the sap off of it, so good start, but Wealthy Man got rooted behind the pillar. Are they going to just burst him down again? No, they go towards Chanimal. They're trying to stop the cycle, and they stun him. They go for the swap to Chanimal, trying to catch Cubsy off guard with a different opening target. Good reaction from Chanimal. Immediately Barkskin, Earthen Shield Totem hits 2 members as they swap the Wealthy Man. Will Earthen Shield Totem be enough to stop the onslaught of this Turbo Cleave? It does seem like Cubsy has stabilized. They mind control the Rogue to try and get over to that Earthen Shield Totem. They don't get it though. Wealthy Man still just training down the Enhancement Shaman. Nice cross CC, but instant dispel from HOTS. They have to use the Astral Shift anyway. Will he just die through the Astral Shift? Gets cloned at low health, denies the Hex dispel, but he moves out of the Hex Totem. Chanimal looking for a clone, doesn't find it. They life grip him away. He's got Ray of Hope. They have to stop the Ray of Hope from getting Cyclone, so they Storm Bolt him. He trinkets out to try and get it and gets Wind Sheared, but the Ray of Hope was negative. Wealthy Man just completely shut that Ray of Hope down, bursting through it. They're looking to get Guardian. If they can stay on HOTS, it looks like he's just kiting away in Ghost Wolf. And obviously as the Enhancement Shaman, you're going to be doing hit and run. You're going to move in with the Doomwind Bloodlust. If you don't find the kill, you're going to be running away in Ghost Wolf. So it's really up to Cubsy and Chanimal and Wealthy Man to cut him off when he's retreating like this.
Yeah, Chanimal's trying to connect some damage over onto Vices. Mind Control going to be thrown onto Chanimal's as well. Beam going to be used onto Envious. So nice CC coming out from Frogs in a Pond, but still, HOTS JK Purge needs to get away. He has to play so defensive in this game, down to 5% HP. Envious gets locked out into a Hex. Can HOTS JK Purge get away? Runs into the Hex Totem, and then finally gets the Guardian Spirit from Envious. That should be enough to keep him alive. That also empowers the Holy Priest healing by 50%, so he's able to top him off quite easily with that defensive cooldown. But very scary moment for Baby Rage in game number 2.
You know what's nice there is that Chanimal used his clone diminishing return, so if Ray of Hope is forced to be used when they go aggressive here, which I would imagine they're going to do very shortly, looks like they're trying to bait someone behind the pillar. Chanimal doesn't have Trinket. If they can burst him down, it looks like that's what they're going to go for. They stun lock him, but Wealthy Man clotheslines the setup with a kidney shot, so HOTS immediately forced to retreat away. Obviously, Bloodlust can be a shorter cooldown than Vendetta, so long as HOTS can stay alive, should be in a good position. He's just focusing on defense. Envious trying to mind control people off the side. Doesn't manage to get it, gets purged down. Nice purge from Cubsy, but that's going to cost his mana. And Holy Priest ultimately going to win this match on mana, even if they don't burst somebody down. They get the mind control down below. Chanimal gets into Bear Farm, immediately gets back into line of sight of Cubsy. Does not want to throw the match. They stun up HOTS. Did they have enough damage? They Solar Beam the healer, but he managed to fake cast the Solar Beam. He's going to be all right. And now Chanimal in trouble.
Yeah, Chanimal's in a lot of trouble. Stormbolt onto him. Cubsy really doesn't have too much left. Runs in, throws out that Spirit Link, the last remaining defensive for Frogs in a Pond onto Chanimal's. HOTS JK Purge needs to play defensive now. Like you said, Baby Rage has such a big advantage. They can stall out the game, do these consistent setups. They are going to win on mana eventually.
You know, these mind controls bait Cubsy to Purge. Purge costs a lot of mana.
Yeah.
And he's actually ooming himself from purging these mind controls. In a sense, triple Hex Totem, kind of trying to bait them off the pillar. They're not falling for the bait. And I think Cubsy, at a certain point, isn't going to be able to purge these mind controls. He needs to pick the ones that are important. If he tries to purge all of them, he's going to run out of mana.
Yeah, and he is running out of mana. We're not in dampening. He's already hovering around 30% mana. HOTS JK Purge in a little trouble right now. Wealthy almost has the Vendetta up as well. So that is going to be big defensive cooldown, the Ray of Hope over on the HOTS JK Purge, but doesn't do anything. Once again, it doesn't heal him at all. Envious really not able to connect those heals. Now Envious to do a full clone. He doesn't have any defensives left as well. HOTS JK Purge using his last little bit of defensive cooldowns. Astral Shift, and a nice swap over onto Chanimal's into that stun coming in from Envious. Envious gets kicked as well. HOTS JK Purge still in a lot of trouble. Root over onto Envious as well. HOTS JK Purge needs to be able to run away and connect get some heals from Envious. Wealthy Man trying to chase Chanimal's. Wealthy Man and Cubsy pushing in, trying to get aggressive with that Sky Fury Totem empowering their damage.
I think Vices needs to be going into battle stance a little bit more than he is, especially in a situation like this. They committed the burst to HOTS. You can freely go in battle. There's no way they swap to you. And now he goes into battle. He needs to keep his damage high to force a kill. Cubsy's on top of him. HOTS is, though, dipping dangerously low. How can Envious pick him back up? Trying to retreat away. Double Fear, but that doesn't seem to be enough. Chanimal chasing for the kill. Star Surge into Lunar Strike. HOTS barely stays alive. Wealthy Man on top of him. Envious gets kicked. HOTS still on the run, trying to avoid, but he runs back into Chanimal. Envious gets cloned, and HOTS is in a 2v3, gets kidney shot, while Envious is sitting through a Cyclone, another Cyclone, into a Hex Totem, finding the kill and the win. Ultimately just training down that Enhancement Shaman, obviously a fragile target with some good crowd control, and Envious will find them the win in game number 2.
You know what the weakness of a Holy Priest is that single target train, especially when you have that 30%. Mortal Strike, it didn't try to spread pressure down, what you'd normally expect from a Moonkin and Assassination Rogue that just fully committed their damage to one target, training down HOTS JK Purge, like you said, the entire game. Worked out very well for them in game number 2. That was a pretty convincing win. Dice and Stormbolt make a swap over on a Wealthy Man. YCC and Cubsy, I think that is a winning strategy for Baby Rage. It is tied up 1-1 right now. I expect Frogs in a Pond to do the same thing. They're just going to be tunneling down Hot's JK Purge, putting as many interrupts as possible into Envious, making him fall behind on that Holy Priest.
Yeah, I think it's important that they try to protect Envious's Holy Ward, or you could almost say maybe it's a mistake for him to Holy Ward right at the start of the fight, because Wealthy Man can move in and potentially sap it. He saps Holy Ward off, he gets the sap, so terrible start for Envious. He basically loses his Holy Ward. Then they can start the aggression on Hot's. Chanimal moves for a root beam out of the sap. He does combo that together. Gonna be no way for Envious to get out. He can fade, I believe, during the silence, so he can fade the next Cyclone. Doesn't look like they're able to find it just yet. Envious sits to the crowd control chain, and Hot's kited that out perfectly. Unfortunately, Wealthy Man didn't commit anything, so it's not really a lead for either side.
Yeah, that was the fastest Ghost Wolf I've ever seen in my life. Wealthy Man getting a re-stealth though, so this is basically going to be a reset of the opener. If he can get another sap onto Envious, they can just basically say, you know what, that wasn't a good opener for us, who cares, let's just get a new one. Then just do the exact same thing again. Wealthy Man looking for Baby Rage to
I've never
drop
seen that
out of
happen.
combat. Yeah,
both teams just opt to do nothing and reset
right away. I don't know. Do you feel like, I don't actually think Frogs in a Pond is disadvantaged in dampening, so I don't know why Baby Rage is waiting.
I don't know if, I'm not sure if anyone's disadvantaged the way that they're playing this matchup. I think the Enhancement Shaman is really fragile target, and they have an FCC to burst him down, so he needs to be careful throughout the fight. And then obviously Cubsy, his mana bar is going to be very important, so he wants to play to sustain that as long as he can and make sure that Wealthy Man doesn't overextend without his support.
Yeah, Envious throwing out that Holy Word, but it's going to get hexed off. I believe he got purged into a full hex, so good job by Cubsy. Mind control over onto Wealthy Man. Channels looks like the target of choice. Full Stormbolt over onto him. No CC on a Cubsy though. Earthen Shield Totem gets dropped. That's going to defuse their attack. That was Bloodlust, as well as Doomwinds.
They got Wealthy Man's Trinket Evasion in the swap outside of Earthen Shield Totem, so swapping going to be a critical role for Baby Rage. Now they have a win condition with Wealthy Man burning his defenses, but right now, Frogs in a Pond are leading offense. So much damage following it up. Vice is fierce in the way. They both Trinket out to try and pursue after Hots, barely hanging on by a thread. Ray of Hope connects out from Envious. He did pre-fade the Voodoo Totem. Trinkets out of the follow-up. Hots re-stabilizes it about half, but Wealthy Man's damage is insane. Tries to root him to get out of line of sight. Cubsy instant dispels the root. Finally, Envious has recovered through the pressure. Chanimal wasn't able to stay on target. Vices slowed him down and prevented that kill.
That was every single defensive cooldown coming in from Baby Rage except the Guardian Spirit. So Envious still has that to save Hots in the future if he needs to. It looks like both teams are opting for a reset once again. Wealthy Man going to be pulling away, getting a re-stealth, and we'll have to see how it plays out from there. Just taking a look at cooldowns. Envious has no Trinket. His short cooldowns are coming up.
Wealthy Man doesn't have Trinket. He's a very easy, squishy target to kill for that Enhancement Warrior. So just pulling out, resetting. I mean, Cubsy's at full mana. As long as he's not running out of mana, they can keep doing this. And then he can wait for his Trinket. He can avoid all of the pressure completely. And this is going to be really just a test of which healer is better when their healing is reduced by 40% if both these teams
I think Frogs in a Pond must have an advantage as the game goes on. I mean, the single target damage coming in from Channels and Wealthy Man is going to be huge on Hot JK Purge. And Envious, he doesn't have time to channel, so he needs to make sure he's getting full value out of that Chastise, or sorry, that Holy Word Serenity, as well as all his instant casts. And if that's not enough during Raid to top someone off, he's just going to fall behind very, very quickly. He's barely surviving at this point through the single target damage, so I expect as the game goes on, I mean, it's not going to be a great spot for Baby Rage to be in.
It's basically almost a complete reset at this point with Chanimal waiting for his Trinket, Wealthy Man waiting for his Trinket. Now they move in. They're going to feel safe having Trinket Evasion to survive any burst setup from Baby Rage, so they want to get aggressive. Hots is retreating the whole game. He obviously thinks they can win in dampening to play so defensive. Stormbolt denies the burst from Wealthy Man. Hots can easily run away. Cubsy looking for a Voodoo Totem out of the Solar Beam, really just trying to slow down the heals, but no real result from that. Hots kited effectively. Envious out of crowd control. Now Hots and Vices need to get damage out. Who are they going to go after? It looks like Chanimal would be the best target, but he's trying to bait them off the pillar. Hots doesn't want to move there. He's going to line of sight. Ray of Hope was used, topped him off. Well timed, but unfortunately, Cubsy is even lava bursting, so even though Chanimal is getting slowed down and can't connect, Cubsy tries to participate some damage to the kill. Very important for the rest of the Shamans here to get as much damage as they can against such a tanky setup. Now they swap the Wealthy Man into the Stormbolt. He can easily Trinket Evasion, Mind Control to deny the Cyclones. Cubsy tries to pick him up with a Voodoo Totem, Earthen Shield Totem combo, so reducing pressure and crowd controlling the DPS at the same time. Allows him to easily top off. Doesn't have to trade out any cooldowns. Unfortunately, Wealthy Man evasioned anyway to try and stay on target. Now without evasion, he's going to need to be careful.
He's going to have to be careful indeed. He's going to have to Trinket immediately on the next one. Chanimal's taking a lot of damage. Earth Shield's going to be swapped over onto him. So now Wealthy Man, once again, a good target. But Baby Rage doesn't have offensive cooldowns for quite some time. I don't think they're going to have the damage to quite kill Wealthy Man, but that's the full Stormbolt. Any CC over onto Cubsy could spell the end of the game for Frogs in a Pond, but Wealthy Man able to survive, gets Earth Shield, spams with that feint, now getting mind controlled. Baby Rage just trying to stall at the game. Dampening has just kicked in. Envious 100% mana. Cubsy at around 50% mana. Frogs in the Pond might want to consider just running away, getting a reset once again, getting Cubsy some mana, because he doesn't want to be in a position where he's just completely I mean, right now he's already half mana, yeah.
He needs to drink if they want to extend this into Dampening and not take any risks. Obviously, the Holy Priest will out-mana him, but in terms of output, I think the rest of Shaman can output more consistent healing than the Holy Priest, especially into Dampening. Double Fear setup. They go for the burst over onto Wealthy Man with a Stormbolt, but Hots was already kidney shot, so Vice's cooldowns need to find the kill by themselves. Will they find it? Cloak of Shadows out from Wealthy Man. Blade Storm from Vice's, trying to cut through, maybe make a swap. They're actually retreating back. Wealthy Man kills that, or the Root Totem. He's moving forward. Envious Mind controlling them away. Really just zoning them out. Cubsy needs to drink, though. I'm surprised to not see him drinking already from that attempt. Maybe they jumped in and stopped him. He's obviously not on screen, so he's very far away from the fight. Wealthy Man still trying to keep going for the kill. Don't find it. They clone him instead, denying any sort of swap, and they denied it on the Chastise stun, so that preemptive read by Chanimal denied any follow-up burst. Wealthy Man will survive for now. Moving into Dampening is really going to be the test, though, with both teams playing so defensively.
I have no idea what's going to happen in Dampening. Envious now caught to the full Root Beam. Hot Jacob's already gone. He just knows he's the only target. He's just line of sighting forever. Anytime Envious does crowd controls, he's just in Ghost Wolf using that big pillar. And that's what we were talking about. This big pillar on Tolvaron is such a big advantage for Baby Rage. Vice is now getting swapped to. Frogs in the Pond getting a little bit impatient with attacking Hot JK Purge. I like that they're deciding to commit some damage elsewhere, as it is just, it seems so obvious what Baby Rage needs to do when they're only attacking Hot's JK Purge. Chanimal's taking a little bit of damage with the Stormbolt over on him. Cubsy's mana still not in a bad spot, but like you said, he might want to consider going for a drink, potentially even a reset. I really feel like Frogs in the Pond has the advantage as the game goes on, but could be wrong about that. Full kidney shot over on the Hot's JK Purge. Not too much damage going to be committed as well. Vendetta's going to be up for Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man having to use that evasion on the Bloodlust coming out from Hot's JK Purge as well as Vice's. So
I like that they swapped, though. Immediately got defensive cooldowns from Wealthy Man, switch targets to Chanimal, try and get more cooldowns out from them, force an error later on into the fight. Obviously, with Dampening stacking higher, the pressure will be on. Feels like Cubsy's mana is going to be the main weak link. Wealthy Man, though, getting bursted down. That overlap of evasion and Earthen Shield Totem could cost him his life. Shadow Step kicks the Mind Control preemptively at low health. Nice play from Wealthy Man. Envious looking for another one. Mind controls Wealthy Man away, purged out by Cubsy. But again, Cubsy spends too much mana purging these mind controls. He will lose that mana, which he's very low on already. So Envious is just spamming up mind controls. Baits another purge. Baits more mana out of Cubsy. Will he purge this one as well? Doesn't look like he wants to. Cubsy looks like he wants to drink, and if they move too far away, they can find a burst opportunity here as well. Nice Winter on the Cyclone with the stun on Wealthy Man. Good cross CC on the DPS, but Cubsy and no crowd control easily healing through it. They life grip him away from the Vendetta. Really good evacuation here from Baby Rage, allowing them to survive Vendetta and Incarn combo of Frogs in a Pond.
I was just going to say Frogs in a Pond needs to pull the trigger at some point, but they pull the trigger and then just run away. Baby Rage does a good job with that life grip, just completely resetting. That was the Incarnation as well as the Vendetta, so Frogs in a Pond really not going to have that much damage. Vice is, though, taking a lot, getting full kidney shot there. He's playing relentlessly. He's not going to be able to trinket out of that. Full Hex over on Envious, gets to purged immediately by Hot's JK Purge. Well done. Now Cyclone over on a Hot's JK Purge. Vices should be okay. The offensive Cyclone coming in from Chanimal's. Great CC. If they can get any CC over on the Envious, Vices could still be in a lot of trouble just camping that D-stance right now. Might have to fully pull back. And Envious gets interrupted there. Vice is still in a lot of trouble. Has dive by the sword. Might opt to use it. Full kidney shot. Now he has no opportunity. The Ray of Hope is going to be used, and Envious going to have to get some healing into that, but it gets cloned. MD.
Oh, they cloned it on the MD.
Yeah, oh my goodness gracious. Those Cyclones coming in from Chanimal so important. The full kick over on the Envious. Vices getting hexed out by that Voodoo Totem as well. Now, finally line of sighting, but Wealthy, Cubsy, and Chanimal's need to push in. Cubsy, at this point, potentially has to go for a drink. He has no option at 25% mana if the game goes on.
I don't even know what happens.
So fast.
Like, if they're just both so defensive and no one ever really commits, like, what actually happened? Can the game end?
I think Wealthy Man dies or Hot's JK Purge dies eventually. I mean, in Dampening, the Holy Priest really need to take advantage of those healing modifiers, like not only the Guardian Spirit, but also the Ray of Hope. And if they can't, then it becomes very, very dangerous for them, especially with Wealthy Man having that poison that reduces damage, that wound poison. So I don't know. I mean, I think the game is obviously going to eventually end. We're at 28% damage.
How high do you think we're going to get?
How high can we
They're
go?
literally both turtling.
Yeah, they're turtling.
How high do you think this is going to go?
Well, here's the thing. Who do you think wins in Dampening? I personally feel like Frogs in a Pond
When
wins.
no one does healing, does anyone win? I mean, what if everyone just dies? What if this ends up in a 1v1?
With who?
Who's, I don't know.
Cubsy versus Envious, who wins?
It probably, oh God. I mean, I guess if it was 100% dampening, it would be an interesting healer 1v1. I think Holy Priest wins that.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of damage from that Holy Priest. Full sap over on Envious. Cheap shot onto Hot. JK Purge looks like Frogs in a pond trying to get out some pressure. Vendetta's going to be used. Chanimal not overlapping that Incarnation with that, so deciding to split up that offensive cooldown. Full root beam onto Envious into a full cyclone, but he actually fades it. So nice job by Envious avoiding some of that CC coming in from Channels. Now Chastise over on the Channels. Hot. JK Purge still not alive. Envious needs to somehow keep him up. The Ray of Hope was used, but it didn't heal for anything at all. So.
Hots is still in a lot of trouble, and with dampening mounting up, Envious needs to cast heals. If he casts, he can get interrupted. He needs to be careful. He's trying to fake cast the Wind Shear. Hot's still in trouble, trades out Guardian Spirit. Chanimal low as well. Vice has been doing work. Hot's trying to hang on by a thread. Chanimal chasing him down. Wealthy Man was feared away into a root, so nice peels from Vices and Hots that allows Hots to survive, but they've traded out basically their entire defensive arsenal. Wealthy Man's the only one that really needs to be careful. If Chanimal gets in there on top of them looking for Cyclones, Hots is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Envious using that Divine Hymn now, full kidney shot over on a Hots JK Purge. Baby Rage needs to do something now, or they're going to be in so much trouble. Full Hex over on Envious. Hots JK Purge still in a lot of trouble. The swap over on a Wealthy Man, though. Full Stormbolt. He does not have evasion. He's trying to run. He gets smoked, taken down.
I just said Wealthy Man is the only one that needs to be careful, and just walks into the buzzsaw.
That's going to do it for game number 3. Baby Rage playing very patient, very intelligently. Hots JK Purge, I really feel like did a good job line of sighting. He knew he was really the only one that could potentially die in that matchup, and anytime it looked like he was in trouble, he just line of sighted, got healed up by Envious, and eventually they were able to take advantage of the fact that Wealthy Man didn't have any defensives, and like you said, walks into the buzzsaw at the end of that game.
Healing of Palm, then they're going to just crush their whole team at the same time.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they do that. But yeah, Ruins of Lordaeron was selected. Wealthy Man now in the Frost Mage. So Frogs in a Pond making what I believe to be an intelligent decision. Although I feel like the Rogue on this map could have worked out well also. Hot JK Purge, like I said, barely survived so many times only because of that big pillar. Without that pillar, he would have surely gone down. But this is, I think, this is Beastcleave on Ruins.
Is also interesting from Frogs in a Pond is that Chanimal on his previous roster was often sitting on the bench and not getting a lot of game time. With this new roster, he's played every single game. So let's see what he can really get done. He's obviously a BlizzCon champion, a lot of experience, whereas Baby Rage, they're ladder players that do really well on the ladder, but not a lot of tournament play. Will the stress maybe allow Frogs in a Pond to find a win?
Yeah, Chanimal's pushing in really aggressive, wanting to get those dots out. Wealthy Man already throwing out that Blizzard, and you can see Frogs in a Pond taking that sort of defensive position, using the advantage of being wizards, just throwing out their wizard spells. And now it's up to Baby Rage to decide what do they want to do. Do they want to make swaps over on Chanimals? Do they want to get aggressive over onto Wealthy Man? I feel like Wealthy Man is probably the best target. Chanimal should be able to keep him alive, as well as Earthshield, so we'll have to see how it plays out.
I don't think that Hots and Vices can train the same target. Generally speaking, as a melee cleave versus a caster cleave, you split targets. Nice Voodoo Totem on the Lust. Wealthy Man blinked the stun, avoiding almost all the pressure. Does eat a mind control, but not going to be too much. Really well done from Cubsy and Wealthy Man to avoid the pressure. Now they're going to have free reign. They're going to go after Vices, who's in the middle of the map, as Hots already retreated away. I think we can definitely vote Hots as like the most defensive player in the game, just constantly runs away from a fight, doesn't overcommit almost ever, it seems.
Yeah, Wealthy Man not committing his Icy Veins, though. Chanimals and Wealthy Man still have all their offensive cooldowns as the full Stormbolt. But that was such a, like you said, beautiful Hex Totem coming in from Cubsy, denying Baby Rage all that initial damage. Now, Hot JK Purge going to get gripped away.
Abort
once again.
the mission.
Abort once again. Playing that pillar, just trying to survive, and they're trying to capitalize on some of the mistakes Frogs in the Pond make. So far, it isn't many, so they haven't really been able to force anything defensive whatsoever. Again,
it's kind of the same issue. Can the Boomkin team, I feel like as a Boomkin specifically, with Sunfire constantly spreading, Palm bounces to 3 people just by accident. So I don't think the Boomkin was the best pick. I wonder if maybe even Warlock Mage would have been better. Maybe like even Destruction Frost Mage. Then
Wealthy Man trying to go for those glacial spikes. JK LOS. That should be Hot's JK Purge's new name. JK LOS. Just avoiding so much damage.
LOS JK Purge. No, it's the other way around. No, oh, they lead the charge. Pop the Bloodlust combo. They want to get a block with this. Earthen Shield Totem seems to be enough on its own, though, from Cubsy. So without cross crowd control, without a stun on Cubsy at the same time as Wealthy Man, Cubsy can always save his partner. So Baby Rage need to find a way to get Cubsy in a stun at the same time as their kill target. Otherwise, Cubsy will just save them.
Yep, and so far he's been able to do that quite easily in this game. Wealthy Man actually committing his Icy Veins there, not being able to do really too much, throwing a Blizzard as well as that Frozen Orb, but Envious just going to sort of laugh at that damage with the spread healing that he has on that Holy Priest Paramedic. You can see just bouncing over and over and over. Pretty much topping off his team at this point. He has used quite a bit of mana. Look at Envious mana. He's actually below Kudzi right now, which is interesting.
Maybe he's purging or something. Not entirely sure. He's just mind controlling. I love the mind controls from Envious. He's not even trying to do it for crowd control. He's literally baiting Cubsy to purge at this point. He wants Cubsy to purge and spend too much mana. And sometimes Cubsy might fall for the bait. I don't think he needs to purge all of these mind controls. Obviously, you, as a healer, you want to keep your team with a lot of uptime, but Envious is almost baiting him into it.
Mind control is the new mana burn for Priest. They don't have that ability anymore. Chanimal's getting really low, though. Down to 20% HP. Earthen Shield Totem has been forced, as well as Barkskin. Wealthy Man getting mind control, so close call. That was just completely sort of random. I mean, Baby Rage didn't use too much offensively. I can't even believe that happened. I'd
like them to split. I think if Hots is on Chanimal and Vice is on the Mage, then they just both collide on whoever doesn't have Earth Shield. Obviously, the Enhanced can jump to a target, Vices can charge, and they just burst down the target without Earth Shield during a double stun. They go for a Wind Shear stun into a stun. Good cross crowd control from Baby Rage, getting a lot of pressure as a result, forcing Cubsy to trinket. And finally, they set up that cross crowd control. They get Chanimal low. The triple fear setup off the mind control. Really well done there from Baby Rage. They can stay on target. Chanimals will not survive. And they find the win. Baby Rage will advance 3-1. Really well done in that setup at the final moments. They looked kind of flaky. I thought they were too nervous, playing too defensive, but they found their opportunity. Take Chanimal out. Baby Rage will advance.
Unbelievable. Baby Rage playing that game very well. Really surprising how much pressure they had on the Chanimals. I feel like Frogs and Pawn could have probably played a little bit more defensive, maybe playing the starter room or something like that, making it a little bit more awkward for Envious to heal through that damage. But yeah, we do have a replay of the last few moments of that game. But such a good job by Baby Rage in that series with closing this out 3-1, sending Frogs into Pawn
so right there,
down to Temple Storm.
That was a Wind Shear into a stun. While Chanimal was stunned, they got 2 trinkets just from one coordinated setup. Cubsy got a couple heals out, didn't even really do much. He mind controlled him on the healing surge at low health, denied a heal into a full fear. And then ultimately, Vice is connecting, Hot's connecting, and the one weakness is the Boomkin. No mobility. So if your mage isn't slowing them, they're going to reconnect again. And because they burned through literally everything in that setup other than Spirit Link Totem, maybe that would have been a better option at the start of it. But cooldown management can be a very important factor in these matchups, and then cross crowd control as well. So well executed cross crowd control and stun lockdown by Baby Rage to find the win. And then of course Frogs in a Pond, they're going to be looking to adapt and change later on in the tournament.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really could have saved him is if Wealthy Man decided to use that ice block as like a trinket and get out of the fear and spam out those polymorphs. But
yeah, that's why on that Death Knight, let's see how he performs against probably one of the best Boomkin Windwalkers in North America.
That's why I was a little bit surprised. Officer being on that Death Knight, we saw him do very well in the Demon Hunter earlier on today. We'll have to see how that Death Knight works out for him. Death Knights are strong against Moomkins. The physical armor that Moomkin form provides is not going to do too much against an Unholy Death Knight, so they can get a lot of pressure over onto Previ, grip onto Brian, as well as that Asphyxiate. So a lot of spread pressure coming in from Method very early on. Brian might actually have to bubble. He tries to get away. Gets down to around 5%. I thought he actually bubbled there, but no, he uses the Avenger Crusader, gets a huge heal on himself, but Snuts still chasing him down. Finally, Brian able to top himself out. That was a little bit of a greedy play. He almost went down right in the opener.
Have to swap over to Sea-Doo. Bean deflects with an anti-magic zone. They switch their attention to Previ, get Renewal out of the way. Method Reborn definitely ahead of the cooldown game as Snuts leaps over for a fear. They connect over to Previ, kiting away in bear form, trying to avoid Snuts from reconnecting. He's not able to. He's going to train down Brian instead. And I think splitting your damage against a composition that's like this is going to be super effective. If Bean just trains down Previ and Snuts trains down the Holy Paladin, they can build a lot of pressure. But Seth is punishing Snuts for that aggressive play after his healer. Now swapping to Sea-Doo, trying to force the Earth Shield onto a different target, then follow up with Burst. They've got Previ stunned up in the center, trying to take him out. But Brian should be in a good position to pick him up. They're going to give him the freedom. He dashes away, gets gripped, and now Brian gets swapped to. Really nice swap off the freedom. Nice play from Method Reborn. They're getting a lot of pressure, and Brian used that bubble early on. He doesn't have many ways to escape. They cyclone up the Warrior, but Bean tears in. Brian barely survives by the skin of his teeth. They swap back to Previ. He's low in health. Seth Curry's low in health, and at this point, if you're Brian, what do you really do?
You have to heal up your team, but you just can't. He doesn't have the Avenger Crusader available to him. Still not topped off. Everyone on Union is at 50% right now. If Snuts and Bean can connect onto a target, it's going to be very difficult. Brian finally stabilizing his team's HP, incapacitate over onto Sea-Doo. Looks like Seth Curry trying to make a swap over onto him with that Serenity. A lot of damage, but Astral Shift connects. That should be enough to keep Sea-Doo alive, but he's still dangerously low. The Stormbolt over onto Brian, though. Method Reborn looking to punish, trying to get Brian down. He's trying to get away. Uses that Blessing of Protection. Sea-Doo charges in, though, trying to purge it off. Doesn't look like he's going to get lucky. Purge is going to sit up for now. Freedom as well. Brian runs away to safety, surviving barely.
Yep, now Brian at half mana. At a disadvantage, Bean wraith walking over. Snuts is soloing Seth. He charges, reflects the clone, or doesn't manage to get, sorry, a clone on Bean. Looks like they just want to chase down Brian. They grip him back into the fight. They stormbolt him. Luckily, Brian didn't freedom right away, so he may be able to freedom and kites. Cedar's going to try and purge that. He purges the freedom, but Brian already got to safety. Would have liked to see maybe a chains of ice there, but Bean was too busy just destroying Seth to really follow it up. Their spread pressure has been very good. Sidhu may want to avoid purging though, as his mana is starting to even out. Double fear, stun on Previ, but he pre-bear farmed it. He's going to be perfectly fine to sit through that. Seth trying to swap to Sidhu. Sidhu doesn't fall for it. Kites away and goes. Well, Seth is forced to go back to the DPS, and I believe Seth is playing Tiger Eye Brew, so he's going to lose Fist Stun, get a lot of damage to these plate classes, which I think is a smart damage decision, but he will not be able to peel quite effectively. They interrupt Previ's clone with the Ghoul. They stun up Brian. Good cross CC from Method Reborn. They've got Brian on the ropes. He runs behind the pillar. Seth now low. Moves in for a desperate swap. They clone up Bean to deny any protection. Bean trinkets into a bash. Really nice play from Previ. Force Icebound Fortitude, but Bean does connect the anti-magic zone, which should stabilize Sidhu for the rest of this swap.
He gets double value out of that anti-magic zone as well. Seth Curry is playing Tiger Eye Brew, which he is. So when he uses that Tiger Eye Brew, it's going to make it so that anti-magic zone is basically absorbing all damage over onto Sidhu.
Yep. I wonder if that happens, if it would be better for him to cancel it. Can you cancel it?
I think you can. Yeah, you can click off the buff. But yeah, Sidhu, he still has his trinket, or he almost has his trinket up the next swap that Seth and Previ decided to make over onto him. So that's actually dipping a little bit low as well. Sidhu's going to have to cast out some heals over onto him. D-Stance was forced out as well, so Snut's going to be doing a little bit less damage, but still just training down Previ. This is the Gargoyle coming in from Bean, so a lot of pressure going to be coming out here from Method Reborn. Can Brian keep them up? He really doesn't have anything left whatsoever. That incapacitate over onto the Hodge on Sidhu. He trinkets out immediately, wants no part of it. I think that's a smart decision. He realizes his team is in a good spot. They're going to have a lot of pressure here. The bash over onto Snuts, so Bean and Snuts having a hard time connecting over onto their target, but Brian just not able to get out the healing that he needs to. Seth's low. Previ's low as well. The Avenger Crusader is not going to be up for quite some time, so he's not going to have those wings. Previ now getting caught to the Asphyxiate. Barkskin's forced out as well, but he's taking so much damage. He needs to try to kite away. Finally, Brian using that Divine Favor to top him off.
Yeah, Snuts is still just chasing down Brian, keeping the split pressure up, really burning through his mana and cooldowns quite effectively. Sidhu's in a great position away from the fight. He needs to avoid Seth as much as possible. Bean death grips Brian in. Brian trying to kite away. If he uses freedoms too much on himself, then Seth Curry's going to get locked down a lot. Seth is rolling over to swap to Sidhu, but he's in Chains of Ice. Sidhu can see it coming so easily. I'm wondering if he really needs to do that, or if he could have just pulled back. Now the Earthen Shield Totem was basically gone for free.
Yeah, and Seth still has his Serenity. Touch of Death is coming up as well, so Sidhu could be in a lot of trouble if they make a nice swap over on him. He's caught into the Incapacitate. Snuts looking to help. Ooh, he throws down the War Banner. He War Bannered the leg sweep, completely diffusing Union's attack. Now Brian's completely Snuts MVP. The bash over onto Snuts now. He's trying to connect. He does have that dive of the sword up, so he's not going to be taking too much damage, but Brian has nothing left in the tank. Previ using that renewal as well, so he gets topped off. Brian manages to top him off, but how much longer can Union survive? That
was a really good bait by Sidhu. He traded out Earthen Shield to try and predict their movements. Then they overextended, and Snuts denied the kill with War Banner, allowing them a lot of uptime. So interesting to use that cooldown as a bait and then have follow-up. Nice mind game there by Method Reborn. Now they've completely tapped Brian out on mana. So long as they can stay alive a little bit longer. It looks like Seth is trying to set up a wombo combo, but he doesn't get the leg sweep. Sidhu kites away. They go for the Hodge instead. They have to 100-0 Sidhu in the stun lock. Do they have the beam to follow it up? Can they take him down? So much damage follows it up, and they completely crush him while Brian was tapped. Bean and Snuts still keeping up, trying to find a cross kill, but even if they do, I don't think they're going to find the kill against a Windwalker Holy Paladin. Bean keeping up the onslaught, stunning up Brian. Brian just bops that off casually and will stabilize. And despite being behind for basically the entire match, one swap over to Sidhu is going to spell the end for him as Union lead the series 1-0.
I thought Method Reborn played that so well, but Union just really taking advantage of all these swaps. Previ low though. Brian doesn't have anything left. Can Officer Bean get the 3v1? I don't think so. He's going to get taken down as well. Yeah, Bean on that Death Knight, 3v1ing Union. Not going to happen, unfortunately, for Method, but great news for Union. They win game number 1 on the Grand Arena. It's a very powerful team. We're going to take a look at that replay, that last sort of desperation swap Union had over onto Sidhu.
Yeah, and we can see early on the fight, this may be the end of the fight actually, so he avoided the leg sweep, but he got Hodged anyway. He was in Ghost Wolf. I believe he Astral Shifts, but he's already at 1%, and he was already dead.
I don't think he had Earth Shield. I don't think he had Earth Shield, no.
He tried to use Ghost Wolf and then have Urshield on somebody else. Or maybe he thought the Ghost Wolf value was higher at that point. I mean, Ghost Wolf is actually more damage reduction when you're higher up, so.
Union changed their composition, and so did Method. Method wanted no part of that Frost Mage as that double melee.
Never mind.
So
Moonkin
here.
Mage. Moonkin Frost Mage.
Oh, they're going to be going with that Moonkin Mage Holy Paladin for Union, going up against Method Reborn on the Demon Hunter Moonkin Restoration Shaman. I feel like Method Reborn has the advantage in this particular matchup on this map.
They set it up to have the advantage. So.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to be a little bit scary is I feel like Union can make big swaps over on Asidu. When we see Incarnation from Previ, we see Frozen Orbs and Icy Veins. Brian is now playing the Avenging Crusader, like we talked about, so he's playing the melee wings. He's going to be able to get in there, help his team with some additional damage that could help him on some swaps. So Asidu's going to have to be very careful in this game.
Oh, Previ gets the stealth advantage. He's going to be moving across the map. I would imagine they want to start on Asidu. Asidu's ready for it, has Urshield, he's in Ghost Wolf for the bash, so they may not even attempt to go for him. They Solar Beam. They're still going for it? They try to go for the kill on Asidu, but he predicted that. He was completely ready for it. They get shut down. Asidu gets to escape for free, breaks out of the polymorph from the Frozen Orb, so great start for Method Reborn. Now Majidin's going to have to respond.
Yeah. Majidin used Icy Veins, Previ uses Incarnation. Majidin actually forced in the Ice Block now. Method Reborn, this is such a good opener for them. Everyone from Union is rotting down. Triple Chaos Nova coming in from Bean. Good job on that Demon Hunter. Brian using that Avenging Crusader to try to top off his team. Nice counterspell over onto Snuts. Slowing down some of that CC, who's going for a Cyclone there. Previ's Barksian has faded now, and once Brian's Avenging Crusader fades as well, Method Reborn is going to have an opportunity to really get aggressive here.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if Majidin and Previ can turn this around. Bean is really leading the charge, taking Previ low on health. He's now looking to cycle on DPS, stall out the fight as Brian is sitting through and in prison. Bean swapping to Majidin now. Mana still evenly tied. Fury of Villadar gets blinked. Nice play from Majidin, avoiding those glaives. Can do a lot of damage. Previ hanging back with Brian, really trying to support him. I wonder if they're trying to bait Bean in the backline. They can't be with Majidin cutting in the center. They clone Bean. Brian crosses the map, wants to hodge Asidu, lands the stun. They swap the Snuts, trying to burst him down. He sees the swap coming, jumps in bear form. He can line of sight at the bottom if he needs to. Looks to Cyclone, fake cast the Solar Beam. Now he should be able to Cyclone Previ. Previ's trying to predict it, gets wind sheared. Now Snuts in a good position to free cast with that Solar Beam out of the way. Majidin under fire, trying to get back to the box, but he left Brian behind. Brian pops Avenging Crusader, gets hexed on it, and Previ's in a clone. Good cross crowd control, but Majidin already out of line of sight. Bean having a hard time reconnecting. Unlucky timing with that waterfall coming down.
Yeah, absolutely. Majidin's still a little bit low. Brian having a hard time topping him off. Gets cycloned up once again. Previ getting interrupted there. Bean doing a good job. He's all over the place trying to spread that pressure from that Demon Hunter. Snuts Orange gets cloned up. Nuts gets cloned up. Previ trying to slow down Method just a little bit. If you look at Asidu, he has pretty much every single defensive cooldown right now. Brian also in a good spot defensively. Doesn't have his trinket, so this could be an ice block coming in from Majidin. Temporal Shield has been used. Well done with that Temporal Shield. Gets interrupted, but he's going to get topped off as he did a good job with that shield.
Yeah, here comes the cross crowd control. Stun clone on Snuts, stun on Asidu as they look to swap to him behind the pillar, but once again Asidu sees the swap coming as Earthen Shield, so they're forced to swap to Bean. Bean not in the best position, trades out Blur. Vengeful retreats back to the box. Glacial Spike doing negative damage there through Urshield and Blur, unfortunately, so Majidin's going to have to reload. Previ has decent spread pressure. Asidu's trying to recover, decides to pop Ascendance, goes for Gift to the Queen. An instant full heal for his whole team. Bean now getting polymorphed away, realizing that the kill is lost. Majidin's trying to take control of the fight now into a Cyclone. Looks like they're maybe setting up Brian to drink. They know that his mana is going to have to be sustained into a long fight versus this durable team. Bean punishes the stack, goes for the Metamorphosis, gets cloned on it, trinkets out of the clone to chase down Majidin. Majidin's already in a great position, has Temporal Shield up. He should be all right to survive this. Bean gets bashed, and Bean, he led the charge with that double stun, but Union diffused it perfectly.
Yeah, Snuts didn't commit his Incarnation though, so he still has that. Imprisonment over onto Brian, Cyclone onto Previ. Majidin still all alone. He does not have any ice block, so he is in a little bit of trouble right now. He gets topped off by Brian. Brian has Avenging Crusader, so Union needs to find a push. Icy Veins available as well, so a lot of offensive cooldowns available for Union. Might want to make a swap over onto Asidu. Bean still, actually his Blur is back up now, so Bean not going to be necessarily the best target. Method Reborn pulling back in full retreat. Full root beam over onto Asidu. Gets hodged up. He has to trinket and use that Astral Shift as well. That's Icy Veins. but Previ didn't use his Incarnation. That's going to be coming up very shortly. They might have an opportunity to make another swap over onto CD once that's up.
Yeah, CD deciding that the Icy Veins is a scary cooldown, trinkets out, Wind Shear's Glacial Spike, but now they swap to Snuts. He bear forms the Glacial, avoids a lot of pressure, stays in the Earthen. Bean lands a double stun. Previ and Majin need to make sure that they spread out. They cannot be getting double stunned this often. It's going to put their momentum behind quite a lot. Snuts with Incarnation up wants to get something done. He fully clones the healer Brian, lobs up some Star Surges to Previ as Majin is line of sight in the bottom, but Previ shuts down the Incarnation with a clone. Bean swaps to Previ, trying to deny a reclone. Brian, out of line of sight of Snuts, is trying to top off his team. Spamming Light of the Martyr is going to be a spam heal. It takes health away from himself. He's basically trading his health to his partner, but he can recover very easily because of Avenging Crusader, which is available about 10 seconds. And I can imagine that Union, once that healing cooldown is available, are going to charge down to Sidu, and really, he's not going to be able to save himself. He's going to rely on Snuts a lot to stay alive for this swap.
Yeah, Bean's going to have to use a Darkness as well. Imprisonment over on Brian. Double Blood Elf Silence coming in from Bean. He wants to keep this pressure up, force Union to play defensive so they can't be charging in onto CD. You can see CD already just so far away, knowing he's a target, just playing behind the box. Brian's trying to push in, looking for a Hodge. Sidu just line of sighting, pre-Earthen shielding himself as well. Now Prebi's in a little bit of trouble as Union is trying to get aggressive. Sidu does a good job. He gets hodged up there, but really not too much going to happen. Snuts using that Bark Skin. Prebi and Majin having to connect damage onto someone.
Oh no.
Double Chaos Nova going to be used as well. Snuts getting beamed up there. But yeah, that was a good job by Sidu realizing the situation and sort of diffusing Union's attack.
Yeah, and Snuts stopped the swap to himself as well. Now the pressure's in their favor. Brian's caught in a clone. He's getting bashed onto his Avenging Crusader as well. They bash Snuts. Brian really leading the charge, keeping his team top. They need to stay aggressive while Avenging Crusader is active, and Sidu and Snuts know that. They pull back behind the pillar, line of sight him. They're really waiting for it to end. They go for the stun. Bean's in the middle of the map, forced to trade out Blur. May need to trade out more if they can connect more pressure. Frozen Orb dropped onto the pillar. Going to be a lot of spread pressure potentially. Brian forced to retreat away. He needs to get away from Bean as soon as possible. Once again, the waterfall kind of messing up Method's rhythm. Brian can easily line of sight with that, so you're gonna have to wait for the waterfall to come down, but Sidu gets caught into a Cyclone from Previ. Snuts retreats back to the pillar. Bean needs to be the focus target for these casters. He's the one that needs to jump into the fight in the middle of the map. He's gonna be the most easily exposed. Sidu needs to make sure he protects them.
Yeah, Bean now in the middle of the map. Earth Shield has been reconnected onto him. Glacial Spike connects as well. Majin using Temporal Shield at a little bit of a weird time, so he's not going to have that available. Almost 2 Ice Blocks available for Majin, though. Icy Veins also up for him, so Union once again will have an opportunity to attack. Bean getting bashed up in the middle of the map, full map, and Frostbolt going to be connecting. Gets sheared though. Sidu charging in, wants no part of that full moon. Prebi down to 30% HP while he's casting that full moon. Snuts doing work on him. The double stun. Demon 4 comes out from Bean. Prebi could be in a lot of trouble. Imprisonment over onto Brian. Prebi trying to get away using that Bear Form Renewal as well as Barkskin. So a lot of offensive or defensive cooldowns forced by Prebi. Full Moon's going to connect as well, but really doesn't do too much. Now Union's going to be looking for some sort of swap. Avenging Crusader is up for Brian. Prebi and Majin basically have everything up. Yeah. It's just a matter of who they decide to commit that damage to. Method
Reborn definitely have the sustain to win that way, but they always need to be afraid of that one-shot wonder. If Majin, Previ, and Brian line everything up, Sidu can get erased, Bean can get erased, even Snuts, if he's in a bad position, can get erased, and that threat of just getting 100-0'd is looming on Method as they try to stay aggressive. On top of Previ, they forced major defensive cooldowns early on. They're trying to finish him. Blood Elf Silence onto the whole team. Majin gets wind sheared. Previ's trying to go offensive. He should be all right now with Avenging Crusader available, but Brian caught into a War Stomp. Snuts gets counterspelled though, can't follow it up. Brian should be able to top his team. Solar Beam onto the pillar, denying Sidu. He's forced onto the side. Brian chasing him as well. Snuts looking for a full moon. Doesn't manage to connect it just yet. Bean actually gets full moon. Snuts is still trying to go for his. Manages to get it, but pre-bear form avoids so much pressure. Majin on the run as Brian is sitting through a full clone. First Ice Block forced. They swap to Previ. Previ jumps into bear with Barkskin. Both players down below 10% and may just fall. Brian into the full hex. Has to Trinket. Previ fell for the Dispel. Now Trinket, and he came out of bear form for a global, so he lost a lot of health. Brian in desperation to pick his team back up. Avenging Crusader will allow him to stabilize, but using those defensive cooldowns too much at a time has been a mistake that Union have been making throughout the tournament. And now Majin still under fire, trying to blink away from Bean, but Bean is relentless. Yeah, Majin still in a lot of trouble. Another Ice Block force, so that is everything coming in from Majin. Union, Brian only has his bubble left. Avenging Crusader is not going to be available for a couple more seconds, so he's going to have to get out with some cast. Demon Form now going to be used by Bean. Majin in a lot of trouble. Snuts doesn't have Incarnation just yet. Majin going to have to do a good job running away and peeling, getting out those polymorphs. Full stun into Cyclone onto Brian. He bubbles it, but that's not enough. Majin goes down.
the damage coming in from Bean and Snuts are going to be overwhelming, and they will take game number 2, tying up the series. Go with that Rogue Mage Priest. Sam I Am exceptional on Mage, especially in mirrors, always does a great job. But Union, in theory, with that Fire Mage, should have an advantage. I mean, this is the composition they picked into RMP, so they got to be feeling pretty confident.
I think Fire as well into Holy Priest. He's going to be able to get Holy Ward off with Dragon's Breath or Incapacitate. They have a lot of options to remove that crowd control avoidance, so I think it's a smart pick from Union. Method Reborn, obviously, since they were disadvantaged in the pick, tried to pick a comp that's good against most things, and of course, Rogue Mage Priest is going to be one of those, so I think it was a nice pick by Method Reborn. Let's see if they can actually perform now here against Union, playing one of their main focus compositions.
Yeah, I like Sam I Am playing Trinket as well. Seth Curry can basically force an ice block out of Sam I Am every single time he doesn't have Trinket. Looks like Method opting to open up onto Seth, full sap over onto Brian, cheap shot over onto Seth, but he used that fortifying brew, and it looks like he's going to be completely fine. Mageddon getting MC'd up here by Sea-Doo. Union needs to find a go. They're just getting crowd controlled and beaten down in the beginning of this game. Mageddon now getting swap to Snuts over onto him. It looks like a blind over onto Brian. He's opting not to trinket that. He's playing Relentless, so he's not going to be able to trinket that. Mageddon with a nice temporal shield deflecting that blind go from Method Reborn early on.
Yeah, Snuts is trying to keep pressure on Mageddon, shut him down. Obviously, Sea-Doo will be vulnerable. They try across the map. Smoke Bomb gets dropped, though, as Snuts clotheslines them. They life grip Sam I Am to safety. Seth chases after him. They avoid the Serenity quite effectively. They chastise Brian. They polymorph triple CC. They set up for the kill on Mageddon. Snuts pumping so much damage, forcing the block immediately out of the way, and Union tried to make a push. Method baited them in. Mass Dispel not on the block. Brian needs to be careful. He's been known for being greedy throughout this tournament. In this situation, it's very dire. He cannot afford to make that mistake.
Now, Sam I Am just trying his best to survive. Method doing a great job diffusing that Serenity. Like you said, Seth Curry still has a touch of death. Sam at around 50% HP right now. Still has Icy Veins available as well, so Snuts basically soloing Mageddon there to get that ice block early on. Full kidney shot over onto Brian. Now Mageddon's going to be in a lot of trouble. Sam I Am pulling the trigger with his Icy Veins. Gets interrupted there on that Ebon Bolt, so good job by Seth. And now Seth caught into that full mind control. Mageddon so low, it gets interrupted as well. Brian bubbles, so that's another huge cooldown forced by Union.
Seth turning it around, though, on Sam I Am, getting an ice block, but Sam I Am has another one of those, whereas Mageddon and Brian don't have much to work with. Everybody is no trinket on the side of Union. Brian's playing Relentless. They need to be focusing on defense. They're trying to kite away. In the meantime, Sea-Doo trying to recover Sam I Am out of that ice block. I'm wondering if Snuts is going to look for a re-stealth. He already is in stealth. He's going to get a free triple cheap shot here, potentially. He's going to cheap shot Mageddon, maybe move over and stun Brian. Brian pre-bops the incoming crowd control. That gets spell stolen and purged immediately. So Mageddon's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision to bop there. I don't know if Snuts was going to be that threatening myself, but they swap over onto Brian. He doesn't have anything available. Mageddon trying to peel. He gets interrupted on the poly, though. Well done by Sam I Am. Brian connecting a huge heal on himself, though, with that Avenging Wrath. And that Divine Favor tops himself off immediately. And now Seth wants to get aggressive. Touch of Death has been used. Serenity still not used.
He pre-life gripped the polymorph on the leg sweep, so Sam I Am didn't get followed up on. Now Mageddon is on the run. He's got Temporal Shield up. They can't get that off. That's going to top him off very easily. But Mageddon's still on the ropes. Brian used his bop in that last attempt. There's no way to remove the blind. Mageddon in a 2v3, in a 3v1, in a 3v0 almost. Mageddon cannot kite away. Sam I Am connecting all the pressure. They cheap shot Brian. Will Mageddon be able to stay alive? They drop the Blizzard on top of him. Sea-Doo moving in for mind controls. Mind controls Brian away. Dragon's Breath on Snuts to try and buy Mageddon a couple more seconds. Brian connecting some critical heals. In the meantime, Sam I Am getting pressured as well. It looks like Sea-Doo managed to recover with Ray of Hope, but that will be fading. Tops him off. Polymorph ends. Now into another polymorph, and this is still now anyone's match. Sam I Am with no blocks available on the, I believe, if Seth can connect one more time with Serenity, it could just be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mageddon making a little bit of a misplay there too, blinking into Sam I Am's LOS, almost getting one shot there by an Ebon Bolt, so needs to be careful of that when Brian's in CC, just polymorphing up Snuts right now. Snuts trinkets a polymorph into another polymorph, so Mageddon doing a good job with that control, fully novaing up Snuts as well. Now Mageddon wants to try to get aggressive, pushing in for some CC. Just a nightmare for a mage to land crowd control onto a Holy Priest with Fade and Holy Ward and Sam and Snuts protecting him, so Method doing a good job avoiding those incoming polymorphs. Seth Curry's getting caught into the full kidney shot as well. He has no break. They're swapping over onto him. Can Sam connect the damage that he needs to? If he can get up for just 1 second, he can pour it away. Still has Touch of Karma available. Seth Curry has its Serenity up, so Sam could be in big trouble very soon.
I wonder if they should have saved the smoke bomb, but they get the crowd control polymorph on Brian. Mageddon on the run. He was not able to get away. That frozen orb snaring him. Procs the cauterize, boosting his movement speed. speed, allowing him to escape and buy time for Brian to connect the sacrifice. Now Seth trying to swap to Samayam, another life grip, gripping him to safety. Seth getting peeled away. Snut's going after Seth in the middle of the map. Meteor dropped by Majidin to burst him down. Not going to follow up with too much damage. Seth portals right on top of Samayam. And Samayam's going to need to maybe reposition off the pillar where Seth Curry's port is not. Sea-Doo mind controlling Seth away. Brian not able to help him out. Majidin and Brian decide to evacuate, but they might leave Seth behind. Snuts looks like he wants to go over back to Seth, and Seth is way out of position.
He gets chastised up. He needs some help. Majidin and Brian need to get over to him. He gets cheap shot as well. Seth should be fine. I believe he actually got sacrificed there by Brian, so he's going to be able to survive. Touch of Death used on Samayam, though. Samayam trinkets out of that Fist of Fear stun, trying to kite away. Blood Out Silence connects as well. Sam could be in a lot of trouble. As Seth doing so much damage to him with that Serenity cooldown, but Samayam going to get chopped off by Sea-Doo there. Full interrupt over onto Majidin. DR Polymorph over onto Brian. Now Majidin could be in a little bit of trouble with Samayam having a hard time connecting. Fist of Fury stun's going to be used. Another Ice Block as well, so Sam had that Ice Block, but Majidin doesn't really have anything. He has to use that Ice Block as well, so both mages trading out their Ice Blocks. Cold Snap's not going to be available for quite some time. Full Kidney Shot over onto Brian. Can they continue the CC chain over onto Majidin? He pops that Temporal Shield. It's going to heal him up for a little bit after this Mind Control over onto Seth Curry. Sea-Doo doing a good job with those MCs in this game. But it looks like Majidin will survive another day.
Snuts has trinketed 2 polymorphs, and I think that Seth could just kill him right now. If he swaps to him with Serenity, I think Snuts would get 100 0'd with some good crowd control on Sea-Doo. I'm surprised they're not doing it. Guess they're committing to the safe strategy, chasing down Samayam, but Sea-Doo deflects it. I really almost like to see a swap. They're trying to race against the Ray of Hope. Not enough damage to push through that. Sea-Doo topping Samayam off. Snuts still getting polymorphed in the center, trying to dispel him, get that swap ready. Seth under control. Sea-Doo may even mind control him. They drop Blizzard and mind control combo together, and Seth, once again, not in the greatest position. If Brian and Majidin leave him behind, he might not be able to survive another swap. Snuts not looking for that opportunity, though, still training down the mage, focusing on the safest strategy because both teams have no blocks. Majidin, the racing against the temp shield. Brian bubbled out of control, out of crowd control. Majidin tops off from the temp shield, now moving in for a push of his own, lands a full polymorph with no trinket. Samayam activates his temporal shield. He needs to buy enough time for that to go off. Looks like they do. Seth portals on top of him, silences the polymorph. Really well done. Sea-Doo connects the Guardian out of the stun. Will this Guardian be enough, or can they kill through it? Desperation moves from Samayam. Triple leg sweep out from Seth, trying to end this match. Ray of Hope denies the kill at 10%. Sea-Doo needs to get enough heals to top him after this. He doesn't. The Ray of Hope almost does nothing. Sea-Doo needs to keep spamming into Samayam. Seth moves over, gets polymorphed. Brian moving in. Is he going to land the stun is the question. Goes for his artifact weapon to boost his healing rather than pushing in first. Wants to make sure his team is safe. Samayam spell stealing off the bop. That's going to give him a lot of protection. They mind control Majidin, trying to bait some trinkets. Seth portaled back, doesn't want to throw the match as he did use Touch of Karma already. So Seth needs to be careful in this position. Still anyone's game, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Samayam has that Icy Veins coming very shortly. That might be their opportunity to push through and actually kill Seth Curry. Full Kidney Shot over onto Brian, just used for CC into the polymorph. Now Majidin in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have anything. Temporal Shield gets dispelled immediately. Dragon's Breath going to be used, but it doesn't do much. Samayam and Snuts close it out, finishing Majidin and going up in this series 2-1.
Maybe it's a targeting decision. We have to wait and see. Obviously, as Ari was pointing out, basically anyone can die in this matchup. If you're in a bad spot at the wrong time, in the wrong neighborhood, it's going to be a rough ride. So let's see if Union can pull this off. Match point for Method Reborn as they look to climb back into the grand finals.
I really want to see more crowd control on a Sea-Doo. It's not going to be that difficult for Seth to just land and incapacitate on a Sea-Doo. They can follow it up if they have to. Brian can go for a Hodge or something like that, but it's just such a shame to see Seth use his Serenity, use his leg sweep, and then Sam just get gripped. And Sea-Doo really not having to use anything. He uses life grip, and then the entire go is completely wasted. Opener over onto Brian, though. Sam and Snuts looking to get aggressive. Cheap shot over onto Brian. Can he get out of the stun, or is he going to have to bubble? Manages to get some healing on himself. He's going to be freeing him away, and that should be it. Really not having to use anything in the opener there. Sam didn't use his Icy Veins. Snuts really didn't commit too much damage also, so interesting choice.
Oh, Seth trying to set up some burst, but gets clotheslined. Stunned on his trinket, but getting soloed by Majidin's combustion. Temp Shield raced against it and did not win the race. Really greedy play there, but Samayam does recover. Sea-Doo still caught into a stun, but Brian's caught into a polymorph. Samayam's on the run, trying to get out of line of sight, forced to block right when he Icy Veins to try and counter pressure. So Majidin's Temp Shield going to be a big payout, tops him off, and now Majidin ahead of the race.
What was that damage on the Sam? He barely survived. Like you said, a little bit of a greedy play with just using that Temporal Shield, but they were able to still force out his Ice Block. Samayam going to be using that Icy Veins, trying to counter pressure a little bit over onto Majidin, but the MC over onto Majidin is not going to allow him, really Samayam to connect too much damage. Now Seth into the cheap shot, Kitty Shot over onto Brian, stun over onto Majidin, triple stun coming in from Method. Seth could be in trouble. He doesn't have Trinket, but he's able to use that Touch of Karma. He's going to be completely fine. I don't know who he threw that Karma on, but it doesn't look like it's going to be doing that much damage still. Just tunneling down Sam, trying to slow down some of his damage as well as that CC, which I think is really intelligent. They need to keep this pressure onto Sam so he can't get aggressive, can't get out those blizzards and frozen orbs, can't get out those polymorphs, and ultimately I think they have a good shot at winning.
Yeah, Sam polymorphing up Seth, trying to recover. Sea-Doo sitting through a Dragon's Breath, the Hodge. They need to follow it up. Do they have the follow-up? Doesn't look like they can get it just yet. They drop Smoke Bomb on Seth. It looks like they're really committing to him as he needs to overextend quite often. They already got his Touch of Karma. He pre-fortifying elixired that, so it boosted his health and reduced damage on the stun. But even with that, doesn't seem to be enough. Brian Trinkets has to trade out a sacrifice, denies the kill. Now Seth reverses. Big pressure towards Samayam. Sea-Doo caught into crowd control and Union on fire. Get that ice block at almost sub 0.1%. Sea-Doo will come out of that polymorph, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him to top Samayam. Serenity, not a lot of work, tops him off almost immediately. But now in this situation, if Major and Seth Curry can get in one more time, Samayam's going to be in trouble.
Samayam is a greedy boy. Full kidney shot over onto Brian right now. Looks like they're trying to do another go over onto Brian. He does have bubble available. It's probably going to be forced here. Brian's going to be using that bubble. Can see to get the Master Spell. It doesn't look like he's able to. He gets counterspelled there by Major, so well done. Sea-Doo still not in ACC. Brian tops himself off. He's going to be fine for now, but he doesn't really have too much. Full blind now over onto Brian. Seth needs to get away, but he's caught into the cheap shot. He does have his trinket. He does have Karma. He's not going to be really scared in this situation. Uses that Karma very safely over onto Sam. Sam has no opportunity to block it off. Serenity going to be up in a little bit. Touch of Death has been committed over onto Samayam as well. He uses that temporal shield to deflect some of that damage. It's dispelled right away by Majiden. Sam's still in a lot of trouble. Blood Elf Silence is going to connect. Guardian Spirit was used by Sea-Doo over onto Sam, so that should deflect his kill. Sea-Doo actually getting locked out there. DR Leg Sweep going to be going out onto Snuts as well. Sam Snuts immediately trinkets it, so Snuts now could be a swap target for Union.
Yeah, Samayam just trying to take control of the fight and survive. Polymorphing Majiden. Brian and Seth in full retreat. They're in a bad situation. They don't want to be in a bad position. Snuts moves in though. Majiden tries to come back. He gets chastised. Triple CC out for Method Reborn. Really trying to commit for the kill. Seth Curry once again pre-fortifying elixirs. Ports for the bonus healing. Basically healing himself back to full. So nice preemptive read by Seth. Majiden now secures the polymorph of his own. Samayam kites away, avoiding Seth's swap. He's desperately trying to connect to him before that polymorph ends. Commits the Fist of Fury, but Sea-Doo connects the Ray of Hope. Fades the follow-up. Now Majiden getting pressured. Pre-temp shields. It instantly gets topped off by Brian even before the temp shield goes off. Samayam still on the run. He jumps down, but was jumping down a mistake. Now Seth can connect. Seth portals back, expecting a swap to him. Brian caught in a kidney shot, pops himself out. Snuts into a paralyzed. Seth needs to avoid this setup as long as possible.
Yeah, Brian could be in a lot of trouble too. Sam has the Icy Veins if they can commit some damage, but now Seth's in a lot of trouble. Evan Bolt comes in, and that's going to be it. Seth Curry goes down. Method Reborn closing out the series, knocking Union out of the tournament. Beautifully done by Method Reborn. A lot of nice swaps in that game, eventually taking out Seth. I mean, Seth, I thought, did a good job throughout that entire game. He had some nice pre-fortifying elixirs. He had good kiting, but ultimately just couldn't survive long enough, and Method took him down.
Yeah, really good triple cross crowd control from Method Reborn, and almost making it look like Holy Priest is better than Discipline Priest. The cross stun with Chastise, that way the Rogue doesn't have to commit his mobility to stun multiple targets. The Holy Priest can do that. Very easy to follow up with a mind control, but we've got some replays of the final. The only weakness there really would be Garecki's experience on Holy Priest, and it does look like they're going to play the Holy Priest RMP. Chanimal's team instead, it's subbing Inviable. We finally get to see him, the legend, the teenager warrior. Let's see what he can get done.
On paper, I feel like in this matchup, Frogs in the Pond has definitely a good shot. Sap over onto Cubsy, though. Looks like they're going to be opening up onto Inviable right away, testing him on that Warrior right away. Root Beam over onto Gorecki, full CS over onto Channels. Looks like they are trying to swap over onto him. Jamili really not able to connect too much damage early on. Peekaboo doing a great job, basically soloing Chanimal, though. Full kidney shot over onto Cubsy, full blind as well. Cubsy might have to trinket here, but Chanimal is going to be using that Renewal, Bear Form, Barkskin combo, and that should be enough to carry him to survive for now.
Yeah, he gets mind control at low health. War Banner was used there by Inviable as well to try and slow down the crowd control, but it's still going. Chanimal just hugging that bear form. He seems to have survived the crowd control chain, and I think that Jamili and Peekaboo need to focus on swapping, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to switch over to Cubsy, burst him down in a stun lock, not able to find the kill. Nice root from Cubsy, jumps back to safety. Peekaboo follows up with the Shatter Step. He could easily stun Chanimal as well. Chanimal looking for Cyclones, not able to find them just yet, now getting cheap shot, and Peekaboo excels at swapping to different targets, keeping their opponents on their toes, and that's going to be very important for them to find a kill against such a durable combo as the Warrior Moon can Resto Shaman.
Yeah, Jamili having to play a little bit safe right now, getting double Hex there, but nice Hex Totem coming in from, or Voodoo Totem coming in from Cubsy. But yeah, Tempo Storm not able to play too aggressive at this point in the game. Like you said, Peekaboo doing a great job swapping around, making it really confusing for Cubsy. He had to trinket there as well as use that Astral Shift. So big swap coming in from Tempo Storm, but Cubsy basically committing every single one of his defensive cooldowns. Now swap over onto Channel as he's getting bursted down. Might have to use Barskin as well. Jamili really doing work with that Icy Veins cooldown and now forced into his first Ice Block.
Yeah, Battle Cry from Inviable, Incarnation from Chanimal, easily crushing through, and it was quite an overlap from Gorecki. He used Ray of Hope as well, so it was a panic situation for Tempo Storm. This could be where Gorecki's inexperience might end up costing them the match. We've seen cooldown greed and cooldown overuse, and in that situation they overused. So Inviable, Chanimal have an opportunity if they can get in there. Looks like Inviable wants to, but Chanimal in the middle of the map, and if they get split up too much, Peekaboo might find an opportunity such as this. Inviable's too far away. He's mind controlled. He can't help. Chanimal needs to help, but Peekaboo's using the pillar to line of sight Chanimal Cyclones. Really good line of sight here from Peekaboo to stay on Cubsy, but Jamili just can't follow it up, unfortunately, and get the damage. He needs to make sure he commits the Frozen Orb during a stun, so he's holding on to it. Now they go for the stun, but there's no Frozen Orb. Jamili pulls back instead, and Peekaboo is abandoned, left behind the pillar, and Tempo Storm might lose an opportunity here where Cubsy was basically an opening.
Yeah, Peekaboo did a really good job there, but unfortunately Jamili and Gorecki just couldn't cross the map and Viable, keeping them at bay, pressuring him down a lot. Jamili just refuses to get off the pillar at this point in the game. Mind control over onto Viable. Looks like Jamili finally wants to get aggressive full polymorph over onto Cubsy. Chanimal's going to get potentially swapped to, but he's in bear form at 100% HP. I don't see Peekaboo and Jamili really pushing through that bear form. No stun on him. Cubsy just keeping Earth Shield on himself as well. Forward beam over onto Gorecki, and Viable actually, I believe, no, he didn't get traded. He got dispelled there. Jamili having to play defensive once again.
They've got good pressure on Chanimal with a full blind on Cubsy. Chanimal trades out Barkskin Renewal, immediately topping himself off, but now you will not have Barkskin Renewal for Frozen Orb potentially if he can reset it, and Shadow Blade, so Peekaboo could be deadly here. They're still keeping up the chain. If they can switch the mind control over to Cubsy, switch the poly to Inviable, could maybe be the end of the match. They're just forcing Chanimal completely into bear form, trying to reset that Frozen Orb with Blizzard. And here comes the kidney shot, stun flurry falls up, and Chanimal just gets trained down to the ground, and ultimately that's going to be their safest strategy. If they take the Boomkin out of the game in bear form, there's no counter pressure. Gorecki will win on mana, and ultimately they crowd control chained him down. Maybe Inviable's Warbanner was a little late. Not sure if he had it available either before that point, but Tempo Storm do a good job of splitting up Frogs in a pond and then finding that crowd control chain to isolate Chanimal long enough, take him down through that bear form.
And that was one insane crowd control chain onto Cubsy to control. Yeah, we'll have to see if they have this practice. I mean, I feel like on paper, Frogs in a Pond has the composition to win right now, but it's just a matter of have they practiced this comp? Are they going to do the right strategy? Tempo Storm, you can bet, is going to be bouncing around, creating a lot of pressure all over the place. Cubsy's going to have to make sure he's on point with that Earth Shield, or I feel like Tempo Storm will be able to ultimately land a kill.
He does have Earth Shield on himself at the moment, so Cubsy expects to be the target. He pre-Ghost Wolves. They don't commit to it. They sheep him instead. Nice read by Tempo Storm. They're going to start out onto the Death Knight, but fortunately for Wealthy Man, Death Knight also a very tanky target. They stun Jamili. Gorecki life grips him to safety, and now Jamili actually gets Death Grip back, but Wealthy Man's the one still in trouble. I don't know if he wanted to Death Grip him close. They blind Cubsy into a Chastise. Wealthy Man still dangerously low on health. Cubsy pops Ascendance to try and re-stabilize through the Frozen Orb that will allow him to heal through the spread pressure, but he gets kicked. Peekaboo and Jamili with a nice crowd control chain, really putting it to Cubsy. Wealthy Man, though, played it out calm and cool, held on to his Icebound Fortitude. That's going to be important for him to survive through the next attack.
Peekaboo putting out so much pressure early on. Jamili really wasn't able to connect anything there, and Peekaboo with that Shadow Blade and Shadow Dance able to cause so much pressure. Jamili keeping his Icy Veins, so now he has that available. If they can land good cross CC and he can get that Ebon Bolt off with Icy Veins, he can do a lot of pressure. Wealthy Man sort of stuck at the box right now, and Cubsy getting swapped to, taking a little bit of damage. Ice Nova connects Peekaboo as well, just training him down, even though stuns out Viable now caught into the mind control. Wealthy Man and Viable really not able to get too much done. The asphyxiate over onto Peekaboo. He's getting basically soloed right now by Wealthy Man. Good job forcing Peekaboo to be a little bit defensive right now, using that Cloak of Shadows, but a nice swap over onto him. Viable AMZ is going to be used by Wealthy Man as well, so
it's good
on the
job. Smoke bomb.
Yeah, very well done by Wealthy Man deflecting that attack.
Yeah, Wealthy Man now getting mind controlled away. Inviable setting up Double Fear, looking to follow up with damage. Jamili sees it coming, Temporal Shields, and without Wealthy Man to pressure as well, that Temporal Shield will go off without a hitch. Looks like Cubsy definitely falling behind on mana, and that's the thing. If Jamili can just avoid the swaps and Gorecki can stay far back, Cubsy will ultimately run out of mana, even if it's just Peekaboo versus the TSG. Jamili setting up Blizzard after Blizzard, trying to reset his Frozen Orb, and they're just waiting for Wealthy Man's Valkyrie to fade. That's talent replacing the Gargoyle. Very aggressive ability, which is now faded. So as soon as that's over, Peekaboo jumps back into the fight, but he gets stunned up, and he's been constantly getting bursted. Gorecki saves him with a Ray of Hope. Cubsy now repositioned behind the pillar. He knows that he could get swapped to. He's getting ready, wants to be out of line of sight. They mind control Wealthy Man. Earth Shield is on Wealthy Man. The kidney shot Cubsy. He has no Earth Shield. They commit for the kill. Jamili blinks in. Do they have enough damage? This might be an overcommitment. He whiffed the orb. What is that orb? It's way out of position.
Zara
and without
orb coming
that
in.
orb, he's not going to get the damage to kill Cubsy, and Cubsy survives.
Yeah, I don't know what that orb was, but Jamili making a little bit of a misplay there. I don't know if they would have killed anyways, because he literally has every single defensive cooldown. Peekaboo playing Relentless is a very interesting choice. I feel like that creates a window for Wealthy Man and Viable to make these little swaps on a Peekaboo that's going to force Gorecki to use a lot of defensives later on in the game, especially if we move into dampening.
I think Wealthy Man watched Swapsy. So Swapsy, he's got a t-shirt that says I love the pillar, and Wealthy Man's just been staying at this box the entire game, stunlocking whoever comes close and then bursting him down like this, forcing a Ray of Hope, and I think it's really the best strategy for him. He can't chase down a mage. It's going to be difficult for him to move, so playing a position where he can death grip someone behind a box, stunlock them and burst them down seems to be the best move for the Death Knight. Then Viable ping-pongs around, but Peekaboo sets up a swap. That's a landed Frozen Orb, and Cubsy could be in trouble. Dips out a Ghost Wolf, tries to connect himself some heals, decides to use Earth Shield and Astral Shift. Peekaboo sees that. He can swap off to Inviable instead, trying to keep their pressure up. Jamili Gorecki in a great position. Peekaboo really the only target they can attack. Gorecki needs to make sure that he's safe though. Trades at the Guardian, and really the damage from Wealthy Man seems to be insane. They keep Peekaboo solo on health constantly.
Yeah, Peekaboo having to run away over and over. And like I said, this Relentless may be backfiring for Peekaboo. We need to see more grips coming in from Gorecki, life gripping him to safety if he can get away, so we can get those feints out. But these little micro swaps over onto Peekaboo with just a little bit of stuns, really scary. And Viable now getting swapped to mind control over onto Cubsy, and Viable might have to use Dive of the Sword or something at this point. Jamili doing a lot of damage. Evan Bolt, like you said, connects with the Blood Fury, so Jamili using some offensive cooldowns, and Viable just gonna heroically leap away. Kidney shot over onto Cubsy. He basically leading Peekaboo right over to him now. Inviable, I'm not sure what he's doing. He needs to play defensive. The blind over onto Cubsy. Cubsy trying to connect some heals, drops the Earthen Shield Totem. War Banner has been used as well, but Inviable, I guess he held on to his Dive of the Sword, so that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah, he holds on to it. He's in the Earthen Shield Totem for this setup, so he should not be going down in this situation. Cubsy's sitting through Polymorph, so Gorecki can mind control off the side, could be good. He doesn't want to overextend. Gorecki's in a great position to avoid being swapped to. He's definitely the squishiest target. Wealthy Man popping that Valkyrie. It does a ton of damage. Jamili sees the Valkyrie. He line of sight, blinks away. Peekaboo out of line of sight as well, but the Valkyrie has ultimately reconnected. If Wealthy Man can stay on his target, but they polymorph Inviable. They stun Wealthy Man. They're really just waiting for the Valkyrie flying in the sky to fade away, just attacking whoever moves in. Inviable getting baited forward. Caught into a stun lock Frozen Orb combo. Leaps out. Nice heroic leap. They combine the Apocalypse towards Jamili, trying to push him back. Gorecki saves him. Ray of Hope pops. Jamili will top off, but this is the Icy Veins, and Jamili got almost nothing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately for Jamili, he's not able to really accomplish too much with that Icy Veins. Peekaboo playing so safe now, though. He's not playing the same sort of aggressive plays that we've seen earlier on in the match and in earlier series.
I don't think he has to.
Yeah, I don't think he has to
mana.
either. Look at mana. Yeah, Gorecki's way ahead on mana. Cubsy might have to sit down for a drink at some point, but I don't know if he's going to be able to. Well, he's going to easily be able to use Blizzard and Frozen Orb to stop that full stun over on a Wealthy Man right now. Dampening has kicked in. We're 3% dampening. Cubsy getting locked out there. Full mind control over onto Inviable. And now Wealthy Man could be in a little trouble. Still has Icebound Fortitude as well as that AMS. Can be using AMS to deflect some of this damage. Shadow Blade's going to be up in a minute or so for Peekaboo. That's a huge offensive cooldown. Now Peekaboo getting swapped down. Swap 2 with that asphyxiate, really not accomplishing too much. Kick over onto Cubsy now. Temple Storm sort of slowly whittling down Frogs in a Pond at this point of the game. Wealthy Man forced to play defensive once again.
Yeah, but Peekaboo is not going to push out of line of sight, and that's what Wealthy Man's baiting for. They drop Smoke Bomb. Will they trade out any magic? So no, it looks like they're going to hold on to it. Inviable survives unscathed without trading out any cooldowns. Wealthy Man gets mind controlled downstairs. Are they going to try and set up? No, not able to. Peekaboo is still just attacking Inviable. He's got Earth Shield right now. Peekaboo might look for a swap later. They try and mind control Inviable off the side. This could be a strategy for them to find a kill as well. Jamili can snare them so much. They kidney shot Cubsy out of line of sight and Inviable. He can't help him. Drop the Frozen Orb. AMZ, this is what Wealthy Man was saving it for. Nice move from Wealthy Man, knowing that Inviable could tank it out. Now Cubsy survives due to that cooldown management from Wealthy Man.
This is really interesting positioning coming in from Temple Storm. I like what they're doing. Jamili's playing down on the ground. Gorecki's mind controlling people and basically just feeding them to Jamili. Peekaboo trying to solo Cubsy right now, but Jamili is the one under pressure. He might have to use his first Ice Block. Interrupt over onto Gorecki. Jamili forced into that Ice Block now. Full blind over onto Cubsy into a kidney shot. So Peekaboo literally just trying to solo Cubsy. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, unfortunately. And in the meantime, Jamili had to use that first Ice Block. Wealthy Man coming back to basically protect Cubsy and force Peekaboo to play a little bit defensive as he has to right now. But Temple Storm, I think they need to go back to that strategy, just play defensive, attack whatever they can, win on mana in the late game. But now you can see Goreki's actually behind on mana. He had to expend so much mana flash healing Jamili over and over and over that he's actually behind now.
Yeah, he's still mind controlling Wealthy Man. It's triple crowd control, but no damage to follow it up. And I don't know what's going on with Inviolable. They keep going after him, but his health bar just not even going down an inch. I'd almost like to see Goreki try and set up a drink to bait them off the pillar. Double frozen orb, good combo, but Jamili gets clothesline. They mind control Inviolable off the side. Really good position for mind control. Jamili's going to jump over. Blizzard Inviolable, keep casting onto him. Peekaboo trying to keep up his pressure on Wealthy Man, and Cubsy swaps off with the mind control. Wealthy Man trinkets the mind control to assist and push Peekaboo back. Peekaboo cannot chase down that stair line. Wealthy Man will probably crush him with a couple purges. They don't want to overextend and throw the match. Kick now landed onto Cubsy's heel. Peekaboo trying to keep up the momentum without line of sighting down this ramp. Jamili not able to really back him up, and it's just Inviolable versus Jamili, and Jamili seems to, or Inviolable seems to be like 1v2ing them. Jamili's not getting anything done from this position.
Yeah, Peekaboo forced to pull back a little bit. Kidney shot over on a Cubsy. Can Jamili connect the damage? Trying to go for a polymorph. Gets interrupted twice in a row, so interrupted basically on every school. Now Cubsy trying to get out of line of sight. Peekaboo using that Blood Fury. Wants to connect some more damage. Cubsy jumping up. Peekaboo still on top of him. Asphyxiate over onto Jamili. So right now, Frogs up on trying to counter pressure Jamili. Has Temporal Shield up. He's just basically surviving, letting Peekaboo attack Cubsy. This is such a weird game so far. Further Shield Totem has been dropped. Jamili jumping down once again. Goreki trying to heal him with those flash heals over and over and over. Bible getting polymorphed up. Cubsy's still low. Peekaboo's just attacking Cubsy. He's rotting down.
Dying.
He's rotting down to the decay diseases as well as that pet. Wealthy Man recontrolling his pet over onto Jamili, but Cubsy caught into a full blind now. If Jamili and Peekaboo and Goreki can dogpile and get on top of him, they might be able to actually take down Cubsy. Wealthy Man getting swapped to full sap over onto Cubsy. Now Wealthy Man's in a lot of trouble as they do mind control him, but now Peekaboo looking like he wants to get an opener over onto Cubsy.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening, but it's something.
No? Okay. They don't want to commit to it. I mean, Peekaboo was setting up a lot of crowd control there, but doesn't follow it up. I guess I want to stay on Wealthy Man. Not entirely sure. Peekaboo's still training down the Shaman. Guardian was traded by Goreki. Goreki not with the mana lead as you would expect. Jamili needs to try and avoid more damage, trying to kite them down. They do manage to land the kidney shot onto Wealthy Man. If they can mind control him off the edge, he would be in a lot of trouble, but Cubsy can easily heal him from the top here. Drops the Earthen Shield Totem. There's the mind control attempt. Gets purged. Now they try to swap to Cubsy. If they stack up on a triple Blizzard, it could be trouble. Wealthy Man tries to counter pressure with the Valkyrie. Will the Valkyrie race against the clock? Jamili with no blocks. Goreki running out of mana. We're at 30% healing reduction. Wealthy Man just trying to train him down. Cubsy having a hard time picking himself back up with Peekaboo constantly chasing him and stunning him. Looks like Jamili doesn't have enough damage to kill Wealthy Man, but that means Earth Shield isn't on Cubsy, and Peekaboo might be able to solo him with no Earth Shield.
I really feel like Wealthy Man and Inviolable, they need to connect some damage over onto Peekaboo. Peekaboo just doing way too much damage onto Cubsy. Wealthy Man getting low as well, using that AMS, and now Jamili able to sort of push in, get that Blizzard connected. But Peekaboo playing so aggressive right now with that evasion. Wealthy Man getting a little Corpse Shield's going to be forced as well. Inviolable coming back, trying to get some damage over onto Jamili, but I really feel like he just needs to be attacking Peekaboo. Wealthy Man snared up, trying to just do everything he can, but he's just waddling at 5% movement speed due to that Kona Cold coming in from Jamili.
So hard for both teams. Goreki uses Ray of Hope on Peekaboo to keep him aggressive, keep him in their face, and try and push them over, but that means Ray of Hope won't be available for Jamili, so Jamili now needs to be careful. They land the kidney shot. He orbs Inviolable, but he mind control this. He's not getting the Ice Lance procs, unfortunately. They keep stunning Wealthy Man. They keep the polymorph. They cheap shot over. Wealthy Man's so low on HP. No Spirit Link Totem. They drop Earthen Shield instead, but they don't find the kill, and Peekaboo and Jamili are now on the back foot. Goreki completely tapped. They grip him back, drop Voodoo Totem desperately to try and stall this out as long as they can, because Wealthy Man's still in trouble. Tries to line of sight. Full blind on the Cubsy. There's no way Wealthy Man should survive. He trades out Corpse Shield. AMZ has AMS now as well. He's trading everything he can to keep himself afloat and keep the damage out towards Jamili, who temp shielded all that burst. Now blinking to safety, and Viable just wants to chase him down for next year. Doesn't find it. Switches back to Peekaboo, realizing no point in overextending into a Blizzard. They grip Goreki in. Now he's trying to mind control, harass. Wealthy Man still low on health, has AMS still hanging on to it. I'm not sure why he's holding on to so long. Also, look at still Cubsy's kidney shot, AMS's triple fear. This is still anyone's match. Peekaboo low, Wealthy Man low. Mana completely tapped on both sides. CS landed, mind control landed. Wealthy Man wraith walking away, trying to stay afloat. Now gets mind controlled at low health. Cubsy can't connect the heals. Inviolable keeping up the pressure towards Peekaboo. He's trying to line of sight, and it's everybody moving in and out constantly in these final seconds.
Asphyxiate on a Goreki, hex over onto Peekaboo. Peekaboo only has Vanish left. He vanishes out, and Inviolable using Die by the Sword at 5% HP. He's gonna go down. The damage connects from Goraki and Jamili, and that is it. Temple Storm taking game number 2. That was so close. There's so many moments in that game where Peekaboo got so low. It was such a weird game, though. It was like to LOS and also generate pressure very easily for these Cleve teams.
Yeah. So Goraki going to be looking to maybe mind control people into this room for Jamili. You called it the mind control factory, and then Jamili just frozen orbs them in the out of line of sight. But right now, Jamili just charged in. Cubsy stacked up with his whole team. No pre-Earthen Shield Totem. Could be an opening. They land the full polymorph. Mind control, triple cross CC. Nice start for Tempo Storm. Multi-man in danger. Trades out AMS right before that glacial eruption connected. That's going to immune it. Now Cubsy still sitting through polymorphs. Multi-man still low on health. Cubsy trying to recover. He should be able to. Pushes that Earthen Shield Totem in an offensive position. Cubsy really staying right on top of Tempo Storm. An interesting, aggressive position. Let's see what Peekaboo decides to do with this.
Yeah, War Banner is down right now. Someone needs to kill it, or these crowd controls and stuns aren't going to be doing much. So full kitty shot over onto Cubsy right now, but I think that was actually War Banner, so it's not going to be lasting that long. In addition to that, Orc Relentless, Cubsy trying to get some cast out with that Ascendance to top himself as well as his team off. Manages to stabilize. This is looking pretty good for Frogs and Panda at this point of the game. Jamili now getting swapped to. He still has both his ice blocks available. He has committed his Icy Veins, so it gets interrupted there. A lot of bursts. Apocalypse is going to be used by Wealthy Man. Jamili blinking away and actually using ice block.
I think they raced against it. Cubsy even lava burst into the Ray of Hope, so it wasn't enough to heal him back up. So Jamili traded up block. Here comes Tempo Storm, another attack. Wealthy Man deflects with Icebound Fortitude. Should be enough to buy him time to survive, but he is in the middle of the map, allowing Jamili to precast crowd control and damage at the same time, forcing him low. Drop smoke bomb. Flurry connects with the Ice Nova. Wealthy Man in trouble. Cubsy jumps into the smoke bomb. Now Peekaboo can go after him if he wants to in a swap. Wealthy Man still low. Cubsy has a lot of work. Drops Earthen Shield Totem on both players, but gets kicked on his healing surge. If they fully stun him out of this, I don't know how he's going to survive. The Wealthy Man gets mind controlled. Low health. If we can mind control him again, deny it. They counterspell him on the follow-up heal. They're waiting for that Earthen Shield Totem. They land the full stun. Jamili needs to connect some damage, but he's under pressure, and Viable really tearing into him. Jamili was forced to blink away, and because of that counter pressure, Cubsy will survive.
Yeah, Jamili gets topped off right after they had that pressure over onto Cubsy, so unfortunate for him. Peekaboo landing that triple DR stun, and Viable getting crowd control, that mind control into a polymorph. Temple Storm really just trying to control the pace of the game. Do the same thing as before, allow Peekaboo to just get that pressure onto Cubsy, allow Jamili to survive. He has to get these crowd controls out onto Viable or Wealthy Man, or the damage is going to be way too overwhelming for this Holy Priest. So I like Temple Storm's strategy. They're just looking for openings when they can. Really getting stunned up though. This could be his second ice block. Cubsy just getting so though. He's getting so dangerously low. He has Spirit Link Totem. He might have to end up using it right here, but no one can connect. The double Hex Totem coming in. Wealthy Man trying to get in as well, trying to help out his team. He's still getting CC'd though, full interrupt. He might have to use that Spirit Link Totem, but deciding not to. Double or triple Fear going to be coming out from Inviable onto the entire team of Temple Storm. And Jamili doesn't have much left. He doesn't have an ice block, down to 10% HP. Can Goreki keep him alive? He needs to kite away. Gets interrupted and eventually taken down. Frogs and Pond winning on this map. That was a big difference, but
aggression.
Yeah, that is the only small map left in the pool for Frogs and Pond. And now Temple Storm says, you know what, we get to choose whatever comp we want and whatever map we want, so it's a good spot to be in. But good job by Frogs and Pond. I feel like there was a big improvement over the game on Dalaran and Sewers.
Just so much pressure. There is one winning strategy for the Warrior and Death Knight, but they might, I'm not sure if they have the experience to pull it off. And what you normally do here is Wealthy Man should tunnel down Jamili, and Viable should tunnel down Goreki, split pressure the whole game, and Cubsy, or yeah, Goreki can't handle it. I'm wondering if they're going to go for that strategy though, because it's the best consistent strategy I've seen from TSG against a Boomkin team. It's just a matter of if they know it's available.
We'll have to see what Peekaboo decides to do in this game. Looks like he's going to be opening up on a Wealthy Man right away. Puts a Garrote onto Cubsy as well as Wealthy Man, trying to connect some damage. He is playing Assassination, so keep that in mind. He's not playing the Subtlety Rogue like I initially said. Jamili getting pressured down very hard by Wealthy Man and Viable very early on, but Viable caught into the kidney shot. Vendetta has been committed as well. AMZ is going to be used, but it's not going to be doing too much against some of this damage coming in from Peekaboo.
Triple threat pressure coming out from Peekaboo and Jamili right now. Cubsy on the back foot, traded out Healing Tide Totem, trying to boost his team's HP, but this is surely going to be his Ascendance as well. With this consistent pressure following up, Peekaboo all over the place. A Rupture for you, a Rupture for you. That span of nice spam damage we saw from Nesper, he's utilizing that here in this matchup. Very smart move against an Unholy Death Knight with a lot of pets. Jamili traded out Barkskin in that exchange. He's still low on health. Goreki trying to pick him back up. Peekaboo killing off that Counter-Strike Totem, immediately going back to Wealthy Man. Full blind on Cubsy. Surprised to not see him trinket that in this situation. I guess he feels Wealthy Man is tankier than he is, and as Assassination, it's way more inconsistent to land a sap out of that. They go for Kidney Shot instead. They swap to Inviable with the bash. Nice double stun. Die by the sword, traded out by Inviable. I think that was a smart move. He Spell Reflects the Cyclone at low health to deny the denial of healing, but this pressure pressure from Jamili and Peekaboo seems to be consistent and relentless.
Yeah, Peekaboo playing that assassination rogue. They're basically doing the exact same strategy they're doing as RMP, but now Peekaboo has the opportunity to dot up and viable as well as Wealthy Man and pressure down Cubsy a little bit more. Jamili has a lot more solo pressure on that Moonkin as well. Now, Inviable caught in the full kidney shot, asphyxiate over onto Jamili, so Jamili not going to be able to connect too much damage on that kidney shot, but still going to be rotting down, wound poison and bleeds ticking away on everyone. Cubsy is sort of semi-stabilized. Gorecki able to shock him up on that heal.
I still don't think a TSG wins both people attacking Jamili. He's literally the highest armor target. He has Earth Shield the whole game. I don't know if they have enough damage to kill him. Wealthy Man's going to commit the Valkyrie. Jamili displaces away, avoids the Death Grip as well. Peekaboo thwarts him away with that fan and knife spam. They're not able to chase into it. They don't want to risk just throwing the match, but Cubsy's running out of mana way faster. The pressure of Jamili and Peekaboo way higher. Wealthy Man in trouble. Kidney shot on Cubsy. Wealthy Man, will he trade out the cooldowns? He's definitely been greedy throughout the series, but he's always made the right move at the last second. Cubsy low on health. Earthen Shield Totem gets Wind Sheared on the heal. Gorecki getting into the fight. Wealthy Man getting cloned at low health. Cubsy in a very hard situation with only Spirit Link. When your whole team's at 30%, Spirit Link ain't going to do a lot.
Asphyxiate out on the Gorecki right now. Frozen Upon trying to get some pressure. Cubsy now caught into the beam though. Gets interrupted once again. Now Peekaboo reconnecting onto Cubsy with a full kidney shot. He trinkets out. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Astral Shift has been used. He has that Spirit Link, but Spirit Link's not going to do diddly with Inviable and Wealthy Man also dangerously low. Garrote now over onto Cubsy. Now as soon as Cubsy is off those stun DRs, Peekaboo's just going to be running in, dotting up Inviable, Wealthy Man, and then you can bet he's going to be running back over onto Cubsy, getting him into those full stuns.
They can't both leave Jamili open. Jamili just free casting in the middle of the map, Wrath after Wrath, and if they don't have somebody on him, interrupting his cast, forcing him into bear form, he's going to go for a full moon, gets gripped. Really good grip from Wealthy Man. Jamili retreats back to the center. Full blind onto Cubsy, committing for the kill, but there's no vanish. There will not be a sap out of this blind from Peekaboo. He might go for a kidney shot. Instead, he moves over. He swaps, he ruptures, gets the bleeds, moving on to 3 people. Double Earthen, but he solar beams the Earthen Shield. Cubsy needs to get out, now into a kidney shot. Everybody rotting down. Wealthy Man caught into a clone, and Gorecki has free reign at this point if he wants to purge whatever. Stormbolt on Jamili, finally slowing down his pressure, but at this point, Peekaboo is sinking his teeth in. Kick into Wind Shear. Cubsy in so much trouble down at 1% with nothing left. Hanging on by a thread, connects to Spirit Link. Everybody dying. The Vendetta now committed by Peekaboo. His damage is going to be insane. Triple Phantom Knives. They cannot stack up on the Assassin Rogue. He's just destroying the whole team. Full Moon claims basically a triple kill, and Tempo Storm assert dominance and advance to face Method Reborn tomorrow.
Yeah, Tempo Storm cleaning up in that last game. I really like the strategy they were using. And like I said, it was very similar to the RMP strategy they were using, except it worked a lot better with the Assassination Rogue and that Moonkin Restoration Shaman. They could play very defensive, making it very difficult for them to connect damage on a Jamili and Gorecki. He could basically doing whatever he wanted.